Chapter 829. In the boundless void, Tai Xian, who was wearing a cyan robe and had a river of fate flowing around him, seemed to have walked out of fate with a book in one hand and a quaint iron pen in the other. He seemed to have walked out of fate, giving off a mysterious aura that was ethereal and otherworldly. He walked out calmly while uttering the judgment of fate from his mouth. Rumble. On the illusory island, in all directions, the yuan qi of heaven and earth seemed to have sensed the supreme will of fate. It began to surge violently, and from every spatial fault, there was a strong repulsive aura. In the space, there was a wave of distorted air that surged towards the demon city. There was a terrifying repulsive force in that force, as if it was going to expel the entire demon city from heaven and earth and crush it into dust. It was as if the whole heaven and earth were rejecting him. That scene was like a mortal facing a monstrous flood. As for Tai Xian, who walked over casually, he was like a supreme king of fate, a child of fate. It was as if he could make Sure Tion the enemy of the whole world with just one sentence. It was as if his words were the judgment of fate, and fate judged that you had sinned against heaven and earth. If you sinned, you would be punished by heaven and earth. I am the ruler, and my fate is in my control. Even fate can't control me, let alone a small fate. Thunder and lightning in the heavens, listen to I. The person in front of me is trying to steal fate and control it. He is a sinner and should be killed. When Sakura saw Tai Xian, who suddenly walked out, his pupils constricted, and a vast majesty burst out from his mouth as he directly spat out a sentence. It was as if the whole heaven and earth were scolding and criticizing him. What? The surrounding cultivators were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped. Some of them were dumbfounded. The demon king actually accused the king of fate, the son of fate, of stealing fate and controlling fate? This was simply pointing at a monk and scolding a bald man. The sharpness of his words would probably cause those who were facing him to vomit blood. At the same time, countless thunderbolts actually obeyed Sakura's command and gushed out from the void. In the blink of an eye, all kinds of thunderbolts condensed into a 1,000-foot-long thunderbolt spear. From the void, the spear was aimed at Tai Xian, as if heaven and earth were judging a sinner who stole fate. Suddenly, the battle spear blasted towards Tai Xian. This spear was accompanied by thousands of lightning bolts. It was extremely overbearing and wanted to pierce through Tai Xian and stab him to death. Under fate, space shall become a barrier and protect my body. When Tai Xian heard Sure Tian's reprimand, he couldn't help but frown, even though he had always been aloof. Moreover, when he saw that the lightning in the void had gathered into a spear and was about to attack him, there was a trace of extreme surprise in his eyes, as if he had seen something incredible. However, he quickly wrote down some words of fate on the Taishu treasure mirror. These words seemed to contain the power of destiny as they communicated with the heavens and the earth. Suddenly, countless spaces overlapped around his body, forming a crystalline shield. Countless ripples spread out from the shield, and there seemed to be countless mysterious spaces flickering within the shield. Boom! The thunder spear blasted towards Tai Xian. However, the strange thing was that the spear directly blasted into the shield. The spear directly blasted into the shield for thousands of meters. But the strange thing was that there seemed to be a distance between heaven and earth between the spear and Tai Xian. No matter how powerful the spear was, it couldn't completely penetrate the shield and hit Tai Xian. You can actually use your golden mouth and jade words under the influence of my fate? No, this doesn't seem to be the real golden mouth and jade words. Even golden mouth and jade words can't break the imprisonment of fate. Tai Xian looked at Sure Tion in confusion. His expression was full of disbelief. Destiny was supreme, above all the laws of the heavens. Once destiny came out, almost all the heavens and earth had to obey the edict and receive the blessings of the heavens and earth. Logically speaking, with his identity as the king of destiny and the child of destiny, even the heavens and earth were rejecting the myriad demon city. It was basically impossible for the heavens and earth to lend him strength. However, the heavens and earth actually condensed into a spear following the words of the Sakura, wanting to pass judgment on him, the child of destiny. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe the fact in front of him. One word could be the law of heaven and earth. What the demon royal used was definitely not golden mouth and jade words. Tai Xian was almost certain. 10 immortal sex, king of fate, son of fate, even you are here. Good, very good. Di Shirtian glanced at him coldly. He didn't seem to care about the repulsion of heaven and earth. He said indifferently, Shengong, Tai Xian, and your old acquaintances. You go up and get closer to him. His tone changed, and he said directly to Shengong Bao, who was standing behind him. Shengong heard it and smiled faintly. He said, Thank you, your majesty. I would like to have a good chat with the king of fate. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his long sleeves and walked forward to welcome Tai Xian. He said with a smile, Fellow Taoist Tai Xian, please wait. He bowed slightly in front of Shengong Bao. However, Shengong's bowing was not easy to receive. On the spot, in the void, the invisible power of misfortune quickly wrapped around Tai Xian. Rumble. In front of the Tai Xian body, a terrible black hole cracked open without any warning. The black hole emitted a strong suction force, and it sucked the Tai Xian body into the black hole. Even the space inside was distorted. It was terrifying. At the same time, a hurricane rose from the ground and blew over with a whistling sound. Under deliberate action, Shengong's destructive power was extraordinarily terrifying. Swoosh! At this moment, in the sky above Demon City, above Di Shirtian's head, suddenly hundreds of millions of green sword lights gushed out like a tide. Each sword light was unusually condensed, like a 3-inch-long green battle sword. These sword lights were like tens of thousands of swords, bombarding Di Shirtian from all directions. Each sword seemed to follow some kind of mysterious trajectory, shrouding the entire void under the sword light. Every ray of sword light contained a sharp aura, with a terrifying power that could pierce through the ancient giants. It was extremely sharp. There was almost no blind spot. How dare you sneak attack His Majesty? Huang Quan's holy river, devour everything. Huang Quan's face changed slightly. He was so angry that even his beard was about to stand up. With a wave of his hand, suddenly, with a splash, a huge green river roared out and appeared in the air. It circled and swallowed all the sword lights in the sky. Huang Quan's holy river could devour everything. Even a goose feather could not float. Crack! Huang Quan's holy river rolled in the sword light and blocked the attack. However, the sword light seemed to be strange. It was like a lotus out of the mud but not stained. It was turbid but not demonic. The cyan sword lights that had been swallowed by the water of the underworld spring shot up into the sky, dispersing the sword lights and turning into small cyan swords that were about 3 inches long. Although these swords were small and exquisite, they were very simple and unadorned. Each of them had mysterious patterns on them. Moreover, each sword was exactly the same. There were a total of 129,600 swords. These battle swords soared up from the yellow spring. Suddenly, under the influence of a mysterious force, they quickly gathered in the middle and intertwined with each other in a strange way. With a splash, a mysterious green lotus condensed out of thin air and floated on Huang Quan's holy river. It was not swallowed by Huang Quan. It floated on the river. The green lotus was lifelike, as if it was the most perfect green lotus in the world. On the green lotus, wisps of green light intertwined. The figure of a young man in green suddenly condensed and stood on the green lotus. He stood there, naturally exuding an outstanding and otherworldly temperament, like that of an immortal. This young man naturally had the temperament of a green lotus. At a glance, there was a kind of intimate and gentle aura, the manifestation of the primordial spirit. This is the sign of cultivating the immortal primordial spirit. You have manifested your primordial spirit with a green lotus as your body. Your sword chi contains the supreme sword intent of the green lotus sword song. Who are you in Sky Sword Valley? Indra raised his eyes and glanced at the green lotus, and the youth condensed on top of it as he coldly spat out a sentence. I am the green lotus sword fairy, Li Qinglian. The young man stood on the green lotus and smiled faintly. He looked at Di Shirtian and said, hand over Ao Chun and I can leave today. Otherwise, no matter how strong you are, I'm afraid you won't be able to fight against the many powerful figures in the universe. There seemed to be a strange signal in his words. Who do you think you are to threaten I? Those who disrespect, I will be eroded by countless poisons and be surrounded by thousands of poisons. Even the green lotus that grows out of the mud will fall. Di Shirtian spoke again. Suddenly, hundreds of millions of terrifying poisons spewed out from the void. They were colorful and all wrapped around Li Qinglian. Even a whiff of the poisonous gas could kill on the spot. There were countless poisons that were specially bred to target the primordial spirit. Green lotus open. When Li Qinglian saw it, the green lotus under her suddenly spun violently. Countless green lotus sword chi shot out from the green lotus and condensed into countless mysterious petals in an instant. The petals carried a mysterious power that spread out in all directions and collided with the poisonous gas in the sky. Suddenly, countless green sword chi burst out and destroyed the poisonous gas on the spot. It was very strange. With the protection of the green lotus, he actually prevented the poisonous gas from getting close to him. It was as if he grew out of the mud without being stained. Swoosh! Countless sword chi condensed together and turned into strange green lotuses that swept toward Di Shirtian. Wherever it passed, the poisonous gas was split open. Countless sword chi cut through the void. It really appeared above his head unstoppably. Ha! Di Shirtian, your time is up. Even the top 10 immortal sects want to attack you. Watch me drag you into the hell of Avicenaraka today. Chain of Sin, restrain him for me. Swoosh! At this moment, a golden light suddenly emerged from the endless void without warning and smashed toward Di Shirtian's head like lightning. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support legal reading. Chapter 830. That golden divine light really came without any sign. With an inconceivable speed, it instantly appeared in front of Sakura. With a speed that even he couldn't react to, it directly smashed onto his head. Bang! Di Shirtian's head was extremely hard and his body was extremely strong. Ever since he started cultivating the ultimate Emperor immortal body, he had been growing at an unimaginable speed. Just his body's combat power alone was enough to allow him to possess the strength of an ancient great leader when he first stepped into the ancient heavenly demon realm and attained the immortal body. His body was so tough that even an earth-grade weapon would not be able to cut through his body. That golden divine light came too suddenly. Moreover, it did not make a single sound, as if it had appeared out of thin air. It smashed onto Di Shirtian's head on the spot. It was a golden glass-like bracelet. On the bracelet, countless mysterious runes constantly flashed. They strangely intertwined with each other and condensed a mysterious power. When it smashed into his head, it made a metallic sound and produced intense sparks. At the same time, Di Shirtian felt as if his head had been struck by lightning. A heart-wrenching pain spread throughout his body, constantly eroding his mind. Even with Di Shirtian's strong mind, he could not help but feel an unbearable feeling at this moment. The blood in his body churned, and his head shook violently, producing a terrifying roar. Thousands of thunderbolts reverberated in his mind. He was hit until he saw stars, and even his mind felt like it was about to collapse. Demon Refining Cauldron, protect the divine soul. In the demon mansion, the demon refining cauldron was about to be enveloped by the 11th grade Black Lotus. Ultimate Emperor Tyrant Heart Mantra. In his mind, he quickly chanted the supreme mantra and visualized himself as the ultimate emperor, without joy or sorrow, the Emperor's Tao Supreme. He quickly calmed his mind and the damage that his mind had suffered. ultimate emperor immortal body. Dishirtian's mind moved. Immediately, he saw the 5 indestructible divine rings on his body rapidly growing out of his flesh and blood, quickly wrapping around him. How dare you? Damn it. This scene happened too quickly. What was even more unexpected was that there was a magic treasure that could directly break through the imprisonment of the demon city and appear above their heads without a sound. Not only was Dishirtian caught off guard, but the group of demons around him also did not notice. But when they reacted and saw Dishirtian being smashed, they were instantly furious. Humiliation, it was simply a slap to the face. Despicable scoundrel, how dare you launch a sneak attack? Gordzi's face was filled with malice. Wielding a gourd in his hand, he glared at the void coldly. Hidden in the void, there was definitely an almighty existence. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to hurt Dishirtian. Kill. Rumble. A bloody massacre general's body emitted a strong bloody light. The battle saber in his hand directly slashed toward the void. With a crack, a terrifying chasm was slashed in the void above his head. Clang! The golden bracelet appeared once again and smashed onto the blood-colored battle saber. From the bracelet, an extremely powerful force burst forth and actually forcefully tore apart the bloody massacre general's battle saber. At the same time, a vast ancient heavenly arc appeared in the void. This heavenly arc emitted a strange charm, as if it had the aura of the supreme indifference. There was not a trace of lust in it. At the bow of the ship, a young man in a white Taoist robe scanned his surroundings indifferently. Outside his body, a golden bracelet drew out streaks of divine light and constantly revolved around him in a mysterious trajectory. It's the Supreme Mystery Sect's unruffled heavenly Arkansas. This worship is extremely ancient. Dating back to the ancient times, its power is simply boundless. It's an almost invincible worship among the supreme level. It's said that this is a direct disciple of the Supreme Mystery Sect. Only the next sect master can ride it. Could it be that the one who came is the Supreme Mystery Sect's mysterious young master? Could that bracelet be a legendary treasure of the Supreme Mystery Sect, a top-grade innate spiritual treasure, Supreme Unruffled Chakram? Legend has it that during the Chakram, the divine text of the unruffled heavenly book was inscribed. If one was smashed by it, they might even forget their own feelings. It has supreme power. This time, even the Supreme Mystery Sect has made their move. It seems that the 10 great immortal sects will not sit idly by as the demon clan rises. The unruffled heavenly book was the supreme technique of the Supreme Mystery Sect. There is no doubt about its power because the supreme Tao ancestor of the 6 ancestors of the Tao sect had cultivated this strange book to reach the peak. He was a peerless expert. The first step to cultivating it was to cut off all emotions so that one would not be restrained by any emotions. Without suffering, the supreme unruffled chakram would wholeheartedly advance in cultivation and strength. Its speed was the fastest among all kinds of cultivation techniques. Moreover, without the restraint of emotions, one would not have the slightest scruple in battle. Its power was unparalleled. This cultivation technique was actually inscribed on the supreme, unruffled chakram. One could imagine how precious and important it was. This scene shocked countless cultivators once again. They secretly guessed that the 10 great immortal sects did not want to see the rise of the demon clan and were really going to start killing them. Those who are disrespectful to I are disobedient. Those who disobey should be killed and executed. Dishirtian's eyes widened violently. With a kind of anger in his mouth, he directly spat out a sentence. Immediately, 10,000 bolts of lightning condensed into 3 terrifying lightning spears that were 10,000 feet long. There was even poison gathered and condensed into 9 poisonous spears of different colors. They bombarded towards the expressionless young man. Bang, bang, bang. However, before they could even reach him, the chakram outside his body immediately drew out streaks of golden light and instantly smashed onto the spears. The lightning spears and the poisonous spears were instantly annihilated by the mighty force emitted from a chakram. Haha, D-Shirtion, your time is up. Quickly accept your death. Watch me smash you to death. Hey Tong laughed out wildly. With a boom, the vast sinless city immediately burst out with bright divine light, emitting countless sinful lights, and fiercely collided with the demon city. There was a look of madness in his eyes. Don't be arrogant. Earth God Demon, destroy this *T ancient city for me. Earth God Sun roared and controlled the divine palace to block in front of the sinless city. On the other side, Merciless Jew also wanted to attack the demon city, but in front of the Dragon Clan's crystal palace, he was firmly suppressed. The merciless heavenly ship was refined from the bones of the Dragon Clan. Facing the Dragon Clan, it was simply a small child in front of a great one. It was suppressed to the extreme. Demon Slayer Alliance, listen to my order. The 10 immortal sects have attacked. Now is the best time for us to exterminate the Demon Clan. Everyone, listen to my order and attack together to break these 4 heavenly gates. We will drive straight in and destroy the Demon Clan is just around the corner. Jushin Cultivator's eyes lit up as he immediately saw the opportunity in front of him. The people of the Supreme Mystery Sect actually attacked and injured the Demon Emperor. What a good opportunity this was. Boom, boom, boom. The builder tree under him violently expanded. In the blink of an eye, it became hundreds of thousands of feet tall. Countless roots and branches crazily bombarded the heavenly gates. Every attack was like a thunderbolt that wanted to shatter the heavens. Kill. Brothers, attack. Charge in. The countless wealth, Demon Clan beauties, and cultivation furnaces inside are all ours. No matter how strong the Demon Clan is, they can't stop our allied forces. The 10 immortal sects will definitely be able to restrain the Demon Emperor. With the Demon Emperor restrained, what do we have to be afraid of? Kill. Following the instigation, a huge number of cultivators once again threw their lives behind them. The warships charged toward the gate of heavens in an imperious manner. Demon Emperor, you're going against the flow. Since you won't hand over Ao Chun, then I'll have to personally experience the Demon Emperor's lost technique. Li Qinglian smiled faintly. With a thought, thousands of green lotuses bloomed in the air. Each one of them contained a supreme power that contained terrifying swordsmanship. In the blink of an eye, they appeared outside the 4 heavenly gates. They were actually attacking the 4 heavenly gates at the same time to break them open. Divine Seal Array, activate! Divine Seal's eyes were cold. With a thought, ancient tablets suddenly appeared from his body. In the blink of an eye, a total of 108 ancient tablets appeared around him. Each tablet was exactly the same as the other, with the same origin and fate. The moment these ancient tablets appeared, they immediately surrounded him and formed an ancient formation in a mysterious pattern. As soon as the ancient formation was formed, sharp cracks began to appear on the ancient tablets. Every ancient tablet began to break into pieces at a speed visible to the naked eye. These fragments quickly gathered together to form an ancient divine picture. On the divine picture, there were countless mysterious runes that perfectly fit together. The entire divine diagram began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, it covered the entire world. It appeared above the demon city and began to rotate. Countless mysterious words flowed within it. It exuded a terrifying sealing power. Haha, inner demon seeds. Go in and erupt as much as you want. Break open the heavenly gates from the inside. Turn the heavens upside down. Demon Sovereign Great Freedom let out a strange cry. Countless inner demon seeds rushed through the heavenly gates and entered the demon city. They continued to drill into the bodies of the Demon Clan. Demon Emperor, your Demon Clan's destiny is over. You want to rise again? That is defying the heavens. An unfathomable voice came from the void. An ancient cauldron suddenly fell from the void. It carried a fiery light as it descended from the 9 heavens toward the northern heaven gate. Whoosh! With a sharp sound, a golden arrow suddenly tore through space in the west like a shooting star. It shot towards the western gate like a bolt of lightning with a sharp edge. That arrow contained a terrifying killing power that could kill even gods and Buddhas that stood in its way. Good, good, good. You've come at the right time. If you want to come, then come together. I have been waiting for you all here for a long time. I dug a hole. If you all don't jump into it, then wouldn't I have wasted my effort? The more the better. Let's see if I can kill all of you. Sakura sat on the numinous sky throne, seeing that he was smashed by the chisel and the appearance of the Supreme Mystery Sect. He couldn't help but laugh. If you guys don't make a move, then who will this emperor go to? Demon City, show your power. Today is the day that my demon clan will rule the heavens. Chapter 831. The God-sealing Venerable used the God-sealing ancient scroll to cover the demon city. Countless mysterious God-sealing ancient runes appeared in the scroll. Each rune seemed to have a vast power that could seal gods and demons. It merged with the heavens and earth and replaced a part of the heavens and earth. Vast yuan qi of heaven and earth constantly poured into the divine map from the void, giving birth to God's sealing talismans. Like a storm, it directly headed towards the demon city and even the Sakura, as well as all the demons in the ancient city. Every divine text, every divine text, every divine text, every divine text, any one of them, had the power to imprison the ancient giants. The God-sealing Venerable was definitely worthy of his identity as an ancient Venerable. Once this technique was used, even the ancient city and battlefield at the peak of the supreme level were sealed by the God-sealing ancient scroll. All power was imprisoned on the spot. This God-sealing ancient scroll was simply terrifying. Once it was used, it was almost invincible among the ancient giants. And at the southern heaven gate, Jushin Serene controlled the building tree and fiercely bombarded the heaven gate. There were also tens of thousands of huge green lotuses that were as big as stars spinning around the edges of the lotuses, slicing through the void. Every single one of them contained an endless amount of green lotus sword chi. They were so powerful that they could instantly obliterate a star. These green lotuses whistled and swept toward the demon city. Once they burst out, it was unknown how terrifying the destructive power would be. There was also a mysterious ancient cauldron that rushed out of the void and crashed toward the northern heaven gate. The ancient cauldron burst out with the cauldron runes, carrying the charm of suppressing the world and suppressing the heavens. The ancient aura made the ancient cauldron carry the charm of the ancient times. There seemed to be a destructive power brewing inside, ready to erupt at any time. There's also a golden battle arrow that shot toward the western heaven gate like lightning. The great freedom sky demon had spread countless inner demon seeds. Countless cultivators of the Demon Suppression Alliance attacked the demon city like an avalanche. Moreover, there was the heavenly vessel of oblivion above their heads. The young man standing on the heavenly vessel kept his eyes on Dishurtian. It seemed to be an invisible deterrent. The supreme, emotionless chakram around him had a terrifying power that could deter the heavens. For a moment, there was a vague feeling that the entire world was his enemy. The earth-shattering attacks almost completely shattered the 1,000-demon city and turned it into dust. Strong. The strength of the attack was simply at the peak. Even if a peerless expert was in front of it, he would have the thought of temporarily avoiding it. For a moment, the demon city was like a broken boat in the middle of a vast ocean. It seemed to be in danger of capsizing. Tian, Katomi could no longer sit still. Her face warped in shock. Unknowingly, her hand had already reached for the strings of the zither, and with a flick of her wrist, she seemed to be intending to pluck the strings. Ling Long, it seems like the demonic emperor has made such a big move that he can't clean it up. It's time for us to help him. The beautiful woman on Ling Long Fairy Island said with a frown. On the 9-star alignment that connected the heavens and the earth, dazzling starlight was constantly blooming, as if it was ready to attack at any time. Dong! Dishurtian sat upright on the throne. Above his head, an ancient bell emerged. The ancient bell shook and an ancient bell with the reincarnation essence rang out melodiously. The reincarnation sound enveloped the ancient city. In the city, all the demons felt as if they had been enlightened. A large number of demons who had been eroded by the inner demon regained their clarity of mind. Today is the day when we, the demon clan, rule the heavens and return to the purple gold land. We will kill all who stand in our way. Di sat upright on the throne. He didn't move at all, nor did he have any intention of getting up. The 5 immortal divine rings circled around him, making him look extremely noble. Looking at the countless attacks, magic treasures, and magical powers that were bombarding the 1,000-demon city, he only sneered in his eyes and said coldly, "Buzz." As soon as he finished speaking, the 1,000-demon city, which had been motionless in the sky above the illusory island, suddenly trembled. Immediately, countless voids around it were crushed. Countless broken voids were swept into the ancient city and integrated into the well of the demons and gods, causing the well of the demons and gods to become more stable. It continuously strengthened the voids that were derived from the ancient city. A vast aura spread out in all directions like a tide. Wherever it passed, countless ripples appeared in the space, twisting strangely. It was as if a terrifying ancient beast was beginning to awaken from its slumber. Just the aura that burst out was enough to destroy the voids. It was as if a supreme being was beginning to awaken. Rumble. Although the 1,000-demon city had shrunk, it was still 1,000,000 feet tall from the outside. As it moved, countless dazzling divine lights bloomed from the ancient city. The ancient runes that had appeared on the ancient city seemed to have a life of their own in the divine lights. They moved strangely. When they intertwined, they seemed to contain endless principles. In the core of the ancient city, the imperial jade archive spun wildly, constantly absorbing vast amounts of primordial chi from the void and chaos. In an instant, it poured into every inch of the ancient city. It supported the operation of the ancient city. When the ancient city erupted, there was no hesitation at all. Suddenly, a vast divine light burst out. The 4 gates of heaven, which were originally simple and unadorned, immediately emitted endless majesty. It was like the gates of heaven in the ancient celestial realm. It stood proudly. Rumble. The ancient city shook violently. Suddenly, countless seal runes whizzed down from above the ancient city. They were blocked by the countless divine lights on the spot. The ancient cauldron crashed into the northern gates of heaven. An incomparably heavy force burst out from the ancient cauldron. It was like a thunderbolt that crashed into the gates of heaven. Even though the gates of heaven were tough, they were covered with cracks at a speed visible to the naked eye, like broken glass. However, it did not completely collapse. Those cracks quickly healed under the power of the immortal stone. At the same time, an astonishing force burst out from the gates of heaven, violently shaking the ancient cauldron and sending it flying backward. The entire body of the golden arrow that was shot toward the western gates of heaven shot directly into the gates of heaven. However, the gates of heaven vibrated and the golden arrow was shattered inch by inch. If the demon city had not been promoted to the supreme level, even the gates of heaven would have been shattered on the spot. The island of virtuous gathering was shaken off, and the thousands of green lotuses were shattered inch by the divine light. The cultivators of the monster-slaying alliance who were rushing toward the demon city bore the brunt of the impact. As the demon city shook, their bodies collapsed under the vast pressure and were crushed into minced meat. Even the primordial spirits of the weaker cultivators were constantly disintegrating. They could only let out shrill screams and burst into clouds of blood mist. Almost instantly, the attack of the heavens was completely disintegrated. How is this possible? Cultivator Jushian was shocked speechless. However, he did not realize that in an instant, the celestial maiden of heaven and earth took out a strange mirror and waved it at herself and the old woman beside her. Their figures suddenly disappeared. They mysteriously disappeared from the island of virtuous gathering. Boom! However, He was not given the slightest chance at all. The moment D. Shurtion exposed the real situation of the demon city, the ancient city that had been brewing all this time simply erupted like a thunderbolt. How could it allow any mistakes? As soon as it shattered the earth-shattering attack, it immediately aimed at Cultivator Jushian, who was closest to it. The speed of the demon city was not affected in the slightest by its huge body. It suddenly appeared in the sky above the island of virtuous gathering. It directly suppressed it. The vast ancient city, like Mount Tai, pressed down on the hundreds of thousands of feet tall ancient tree of creation. The ancient tree of creation was a divine tree of heaven and earth in ancient times. It had incomparably magical power and could devour all kinds of yuan qi, turning the surrounding void into a void without any yuan qi. At this moment, it felt the aura of death coming from the demon city. Suddenly, it burst out with tens of thousands of feet of green light. Countless branches danced wildly and grew. In the blink of an eye, it was like countless arms bombarding the demon city that was pressing down on it at the same time. It wanted to directly lift the demon city. Rumble. However, the demon city pressed down on it. Those branches, even if they had endless vitality and were unimaginably tough, as soon as they came into contact with the ancient city, they were immediately crushed by an irresistible, overbearing force and were smashed into the ancient tree of creation. Impossible. Cultivator Jushian could hardly believe what he saw in front of him. Seeing the ancient city that was crushing down like Mount Tai, countless branches and leaves of the ancient tree of creation wriggled crazily, completely wrapping him in the ancient tree of creation, protecting his body. However, this collision was like two stars colliding with each other. The terrifying, destructive power crushed hundreds of thousands of cultivators on the ancient tree of creation into clouds of blood mist on the spot. Puff! Cultivator Jushian spat out a mouthful of blood. His body seemed to have been struck by lightning. Bang! The demon city crashed into the ancient tree of creation again. Crack! Countless cracks appeared on the ancient tree of creation. Bang! Crash again. Sakura controlled the myriad demon city. He was simply like the most tyrannical primordial beast of the ancient era. He was incomparably ferocious as he repeatedly slammed into the ancient Jinmu tree. Instantly, countless terrifying cracks appeared on the ancient Jinmu tree. Given its strength, it was basically unable to withstand the impact of a paragon divine weapon. After 3 collisions, the entire ancient Jinmu tree was shattered into pieces. Cultivator Jushian, who was wrapped in the ancient tree of creation, collapsed on the spot and turned into a blood mist. However, a green light flew out from his body and wanted to escape. It was his immortal primordial spirit. Cultivator Jushian. Shurtion shouted softly. Who is it? Cultivator Jushian could not help but answer subconsciously even when he was escaping. Immediately, an irresistible force wrapped around his immortal primordial spirit. In the blink of an eye, it was pulled into a small black gourd that appeared on the surface of the celestial samsara clock. Ancient tree of creation, the ancestor of all trees, merge I into the demon city and help I perfect the ultimate Emperor Jade archive. In the demon city, a strong devouring force erupted and swept the broken pieces of the ancient tree of creation into the demon city. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 832. Ferocious. The entire demon city exuded a ferocious aura. It was fine if they did not make a move, but once they showed their fangs, they would have to pay the price of a supreme peak virtuous gathering island. That was the ancient tree of the founding tree, the ancestor of all trees. It was actually smashed apart on the spot and shattered into countless pieces. This sort of ferocious aura shook the heavens, and it was like an emperor facing a rebellious subject and smashing the subject into powder with a flip of his hand. Rumble. Countless shards of the creation tree were quickly sucked into the ancient city and appeared above the ultimate Emperor Jade archive. Within those shards, the aura of the ancestor of all trees immediately exuded a strong vitality, and countless wisps of green would chi burst forth. It landed on the Jade archive and looked at it. Suddenly, a mass of chaotic flames emerged from the Jade archive and enveloped the fragments of the founding tree. In the flames, the founding tree, which was rarely refined by flames, was quickly burned and melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, a vast greenwood chi quickly entered the Jade archive. In an instant, it drilled into a green Great Tao talisman in the Jade archive. Suddenly, the Great Tao talisman bloomed with a dazzling divine brilliance. That was the wood talisman of the 5 elements. The founding tree was the ancestor of all trees, and it contained almost all of the wood chi, the law of wood, and the divine charm of wood. The green wood chi of the ancestor of all trees entered the wood talisman. Suddenly, the entire talisman grew at a speed visible to the naked eye and was mended. At the same time, a trace of the wood poison talisman was separated from the poison talisman and entered the talisman. The vast greenwood chi was integrated into it. It intertwined into a mysterious pattern. In the blink of an eye, the wood talisman was completely mended and perfected. Whoosh! An illusory projection burst out from the wood talisman and fell into the surrounding void, into an illusory lotus. The lotus immediately condensed from the void. It condensed into a green lotus. Inside the green lotus, it was as if the heavens and the earth were splitting apart. A small world containing the endless power of wood was quickly born. What was even more miraculous was that within the smelted builder wood, a beam of green light suddenly shot into the world of wood, transforming into a simple and unadorned seed. It immediately took root and began to madly absorb the power of wood. The seed took root and sprouted, growing into a small sapling of the builder wood. At the same time, under the chaotic flames of the Imperial Jade archive, the pieces of founding tree were immediately melted and turned into wisps of green threads that quickly entered the void and entered the demon city. They intertwined and formed mysterious wood chi runes that distributed on every inch of the city. As soon as these runes appeared, the myriad demon city became even more resilient. At the same time, it exuded a wood chi. Waves of green wood chi started to become denser in the ancient city. In an instant, the ancient city became stronger. Zhu Wuqing, back in the fallen god abyss, you enslaved the 3-legged golden crow of the demon race. You should have been killed. After your cultivation base was reduced by you escaped. Not only did you not repent, you even became more vicious and wanted to harm the demon race. Today, I will not forgive you. Today, will be the anniversary of your death. Indra smashed the ancient Jinmu tree into pieces and directly refined it into the myriad demon city. On the spot, the aura exuding from his body grew even sharper and more tyrannical, his might unparalleled. However, how could a mere Jushin cultivator make him stop? He immediately looked at Zhu Wuqing. He looked at the vast golden dragon that was tens of thousands of meters long and shouted loudly, "You monster! You're just a lowly demon. How dare you be rude to me? I'm the crown prince of the eternal imperial dynasty. How noble is my status? This demon city is mine. 8 desolation imperial dragon fist. Imperial dragon no regrets." Zhu Wuqing's cold voice came out from the golden dragon. There was a hint of madness in his voice, and he looked at the demon city like a trapped beast. Roar! The vast golden dragon emitted a dazzling golden radiance. Countless dragon scales wriggled in the divine radiance. Boundless dragon force poured into the dragon claw like a tidal wave. A ferocious attack was launched towards the 1,000-demon city. Suddenly, an incomparably huge imperial dragon surged out from the dragon claw. It carried a terrifying will that said, "Even if I die 100 times, I will have no regrets as it attacked the ancient city. The Imperial Dragon, no regrets. The world is blessed. There's a chance of survival. The Imperial Dragon, no regrets, carried the supreme will of the Emperor's Tao. On the Emperor's Tao, there was no regret in dying. When one took a step back, it meant death. When one took a step forward, even if it was a cliff, one must be firm and unwavering. The Emperor's Tao was without regrets. This will reveal the true essence of the Emperor's Tao. It carried the domineering Emperor's Tao, the terrifying determination and will that could crush everything. This punch had the terrifying power to disintegrate one's will. Even if the heavens and earth were to block it, it would be crushed by this punch. The Emperor's Tao was without regrets. Rumble. The 10,000 demon city was enveloped in a dazzling divine light. It charged from the distance and collided with the terrifying D-Dragon that will cause the D-Dragon's body to become incomparably condensed. It was almost impossible to destroy. The Imperial Dragon roared and fiercely slammed into the gate of heaven. Its sharp dragon claws were about to tear the gate of heaven apart. However, the entire demon city was a supreme artifact. How could it be ordinary? The ancient city shook and slammed into the Imperial Dragon. With the support of the Imperial Jade Archive, a boundless and boundless vital chi filled every inch of the city. The supreme divine weapon's power erupted and crashed into the Imperial Dragon's body. In a flash, the Imperial Dragon's will was destroyed by the demon city. The entire Imperial Dragon was annihilated. Zhu Wuqing, the Imperial Dragon clan, was also a member of the demon clan. You actually used dragon bones to refine the heavenly boat. You deserve to be killed. I will kill you today. Di Tian was full of vigor as he berated. The demon city was mixed with the power of thunder. Not only did it destroy the Imperial Dragon, but the ancient city also fiercely slammed into the Golden Dragon without stopping. The vast ancient city crushed over. That momentum was simply enough to shatter the heavens and earth. The majestic momentum was enough to suppress the will of an expert. With a bang, it collided with the Golden Dragon's claws. Crack! A crisp sound was heard. Countless terrifying cracks appeared on the Golden Dragon's claws. These cracks quickly spread in all directions in an instant. In the blink of an eye, they covered the thick Golden Dragon's claws. With a bang like glass, it was smashed into pieces on the spot. It burst open and broke. No! Monster! You lowly monster! How can the 1,000-demon city be so terrifying? My heartless heavenly boat is a peak unparalleled level warship. It's extremely sturdy. How can it be broken by you? Could it be that the 1,000-demon city isn't a peak unparalleled level warship? Could it be a supreme artifact? Impossible. There are only a total of 10 supreme artifacts in the world. How can you have one? Zhu Wuqing roared. He seemed to be unable to believe the scene in front of him. Oomph. I said that I will kill you, so I will definitely kill you. Even if your father comes personally, I will still dare to crash into you. Di Tian's Emperor's aura was boundless. Bang, bang, bang. With the Emperor's Jade Archive as the source of vitality, the demon city was completely free from the shackles and cage. It did not need to be like before. Not only did it need Di Tian to inject energy into it personally, it also needed to burn large amounts of heavenly yuan pills in battle. Now, with the Emperor's Jade Archive, a huge amount of vitality was being absorbed into the ancient city with every breath. It was as easy as waving one's arm. Although the vast ancient city was huge, it was unusually agile and domineering when it was being operated. On the spot, the demon city slammed into the heartless heavenly boat again and again. The power of a supreme artifact was completely displayed. The demon city was made of divine crystals, so it was unbelievably sturdy. Moreover, it was a single entity. This collision was really satisfying. Rumble. The entire sky above the void illusory island was in complete chaos. Countless chaotic energies swept in all directions crazily, collapsing countless spaces. With the power of the demon city, every collision was comparable to an all-out attack from a peerless expert. The power was unimaginable. In just 3 collisions it was seen. The entire golden dragon collapsed in an instant. It revealed the true form of the heartless heavenly boat. Countless cracks appeared on the noble and magnificent heavenly boat. The entire heavenly boat was in tatters, taking advantage of the situation to pursue. Bang! The demon city slammed into the heartless heavenly boat again with a domineering aura. Rumble! The entire heavenly boat was smashed into pieces. On the heavenly boat, countless soldiers of the ancient emperor dynasty were smashed into pieces. Zhu Wuqing was the first to bear the brunt. His entire body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Inside, the 8 golden dragons suddenly turned into streaks of golden light as they tried to escape. They wanted to escape. Anyone who dares to blaspheme the demon race shall be judged. Di Shirtian looked at the 8 golden dragons coldly. How could he not know that those 8 golden dragons were the primordial spirit of Zhu Wuqing? As long as any one of them escaped, Zhu Wuqing could be reborn again. Towards Zhu Wuqing, endless killing intent rose in his heart. Recalling the scene of Zhu Wuqing using the 9 golden chariots, anger burned in his body. He let Zhu Wuqing escape the previous time. If he let Zhu Wuqing escape again, he would twist his head off and kick it like a ball. In the void, countless lightning bolts exploded and gathered together, forming purplish-golden lightning chains. Extending out from the void like a snake, they appeared before the 8 golden dragons with lightning speed. With a clatter, iron chains wrapped around the golden dragon's body, binding it tightly. Countless lightning bolts shuttled through the golden dragon's bodies, attacking their primordial spirits continuously, causing them to scream in agony. Release this crown prince. I am the crown prince of the ancient emperor dynasty. If you kill me, my father will definitely come to kill you. Supreme divine artifact. You used the supreme divine artifact. You're dead. You're dead. Zhu Wuqing shouted crazily. Even the heavenly emperor can forget about saving your life. Indra coldly laughed as he stared at the frenzied Zhu Wuqing. With an intention of his will, the myriad demon city appeared at the location where the merciless heavenly ark was destroyed. The merciless heavenly ark was shattered into countless pieces as countless dragon bones were broken. However, in the center, there was a violet ancient pond that was still intact. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 833. The purple ancient pool was filled to the brim with purple water. Every drop of the pool water was in the shape of a dragon. Streams of dragon-shaped yuan qi constantly intertwined with each other. There were fist-sized dragon pearls at the bottom of the pond. All of them were purple in color. There were 81 dragon pearls in total. They seemed to be arranged in a mysterious ancient formation. There were 9 statues of true dragons erected in the ancient pond. They were lifelike, opening their mouths and breathing out yuan qi. They were exuding a noble aura. This caused the ancient pond to continuously absorb the various dragon qi drifting in the air. This is the 9-dragon supreme pond. The Eternal Emperor dynasty is really daring to refine this ancient pond as the origin of the heavenly ship's yuan qi. No wonder they could unleash such a domineering emperor dragon fist. They're borrowing the power of the supreme pond. Dark looked at the 9-dragon supreme pond in shock. This ancient pond wasn't simple. It was extremely powerful and had the potential to evolve continuously. However, it required a large amount of dragon skeletons and dragon pearls to refine it. Once it was refined, it would be able to absorb the vast amount of true dragon qi from the void and transform it into the supreme Emperor Purple Qi. It was extremely beneficial for those who cultivated the Emperor Dao. However, it required 9 dragon skeletons that were at least at the immortal Emperor realm to begin the refinement process. In order to strengthen the ancient pond, it would require a large amount of dragon skeletons to be refined. It was said that the final skeletons required would be the ancestral dragon skeletons. It would also require a large amount of dragon souls. It would be a blasphemy to the dragon clan if they were to refine it. It would be a slap in the face. As long as the dragon clan knew about it, they would be hunted down endlessly by the dragon clan powerhouses, even if they had to go to the netherworld or the heavens. Almost no one would dare to take the risk of being hunted down by the dragon clan to refine such a treasure, especially the dragon corpses. They could only be found in the dragon tomb. Digging up the tomb of the dragon clan was no different from digging up the earth above the head of the Tai Sui. So that's how it is. However, I don't need to refine the 9-dragon supreme pool. Since it's refined from the dragon bones and dragon souls of the dragon clan's ancestors, and the dragon clan is a branch of the demonic beast race, they should contribute to the rise of the demonic beast race. In the future, the dragon clan can enter my 1,000-demon city to cultivate. Deshirtion only thought for a moment before he raised his voice and said, "A powerful devouring power was emitted from the 1,000-fiend city, sucking all the fragments of the heavenly ship into the ancient city." The 9-dragon supreme pool was directly plundered into the core space. When it appeared on the Jade Archive, under the burning of the primal chaos flame, the entire ancient pond quickly disintegrated and turned into dragon-shaped purple clouds that quickly entered a purple-gold talisman on the Jade Archive. That talisman naturally emitted an incomparably noble emperor's aura. Countless dragon-shaped lines intertwined together to form a mysterious principle. Inside the talisman, pages of Emperor Tao cultivation techniques turned into the sound of the great Tao, reverberating clearly. Among them, Deshirtion's Emperor Shocking the World was the most prominent. The entire Emperor's Talisman amulet was now 70% complete. Countless strands of violet chi in the form of dragons entered the talisman. Within the talisman, there was the divine essence of the Tao of Emperors. The insights and insights of the eternal imperial dynasty regarding the Tao of Emperors, as well as the Tao of Paragons, all entered the talisman, filling it up. The runic inscriptions on the surface of the talisman grew more and more majestic. It continued to grow rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it was 90% complete. Moreover, in the 9-dragon supreme pool, there was an Emperor Tao cultivation technique, 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 and 8 Desolation Emperor Tao cultivation technique. These were all engraved in the ancient pond to suppress the supreme purple clouds. At this moment, they all began to flutter in the air, transforming into ancient seal scripts that entered the Imperial Jade Archive. Rumble. As these Emperor Tao cultivation techniques entered, the essence of the Emperor Tao within the talisman was mended. Countless sounds of the great Tao reverberated, and dragon-shaped purple clouds burst out from the talisman. Dragon roars rang out. Emperor Tao talisman complete. At the same time, a talisman projection was directly imprinted into an illusory lotus, causing the lotus to completely solidify into a purple lotus. Within the purple lotus, the talisman seemed to be splitting the heavens and earth, giving birth to a small world. In the small world, like the other 3 lotuses, it was 1,000 feet in size, but it had a sky and earth. It was filled with various types of true dragon purple clouds that constantly swam. In the Emperor Tao Jade Archive, the 4th Great Tao Talisman was completed. At the same time, the broken dragon bones were quickly melted, turning into threads that merged into the 1,000-demon city. Inside, dragon-shaped runes interweaved. Not only did it strengthen the 1,000-demon city, but it also revealed the nobility of the Emperor Tao and the powerful aura of the dragon tribe. Supreme divine artifacts were also divided into different grades. From low to high, they were lower grade, middle grade, upper grade, and peak grade. The 1,000-demon city had just stepped into the supreme grade, and it was the weakest lower grade supreme divine artifact. Now, with the broken builder wood and dragon bones merged into the ancient city, the 1,000-demon city's newly stepped lower grade supreme grade was completely stabilized. The city became stronger, and in the ancient city, two small worlds were born again. The speed at which it absorbed the yuan qi of heaven and earth became even stronger. Zhu Wuqing, you enslaved the royal family of the demon tribe. Today, I will not kill you, but I will suppress you under the four heavenly gates forever. Every day, you will be trampled by the demon tribe, and I will let you experience the pleasure of being trampled on. Suppress the heavenly gates forever. Di Tian felt the improvement of the thousand-demon city, and his heart became calmer. He looked at the 8 bound golden dragons. Those golden dragons were Zhu Wuqing's primordial spirit, and the words that came out of his mouth were like the law of the heavenly Tao. Whoosh! The lightning chains quickly pulled the 8 true dragons to the 4 heavenly gates. There were 2 dragons in front of each heavenly gate. Buzz! The 4 heavenly gates shook at the same time and burst out with 7-color divine light, enveloping the true dragons in front of them. With a bang, Zhu Wuqing's primordial spirit was suppressed under the heavenly gates. On the ground of the heavenly gates, 2 lifelike figures of golden dragons appeared, suppressed under, never to be able to ascend. For generations, they were trampled under the feet of the demon tribe. Di Tian, you lowly demon, you'll not die a good death. I curse you to never be able to climb to the peak, to never be able to fall in the reincarnation cycle. Just you wait, my father will definitely come to save me. When that time comes, it will be the time of your death. Today's humiliation will be repaid 100 times, 1,000 times in the future. Zhu Wuqing shouted crazily. The true dragon primordial spirit struggled violently, but under the heavenly gates, it couldn't even move. It was as heavy as Mount Tai. Supreme divine artifact? How is it possible? You lowly demon. How could you make the demon city become a supreme divine artifact? This is impossible. When a supreme divine artifact is promoted, it will be accompanied by a celestial phenomenon. There is no such phenomenon in the myriad heavens. You demon, how could you promote a supreme divine artifact? After being knocked away by the 1,000-demon city, tiny cracks appeared on the surface of the sinless city. The Sin King Haitong was on the verge of going completely crazy. He was in a hysterical state. His face was filled with disbelief as he shouted loudly. Obviously, he couldn't accept the scene in front of him. The demon city has really been promoted to a supreme divine artifact. Could it be that the demon emperor has really obtained a natural spiritual treasure? Otherwise, it would be impossible for such a peerless ancient city to be promoted. No wonder he dared to throw out the tiger soul to lure the cultivators of the myriad heavens. Li Qinglian stood on the huge green lotus, looking at the ancient city that was bursting with 7-color divine light and emitting a supreme divine artifact pressure and shock. She felt as if a sharp sword had slashed through her heart. Supreme divine artifact. My goodness, this is a trap. Just now, the demon city actually hid its supreme divine artifact pressure and divine light. This time we're finished. Run quickly. A supreme divine artifact is not on the same level as a supreme divine artifact. Our small warships will be smashed into countless pieces on the spot. This is a trap. It's obvious that the demon emperor is tricking us. It's too fierce. Jushin Sanren is an ancient giant. Even the ancient Jinmu tree was smashed into pieces, and the heartless heavenly ship was also shattered. It's too fierce. The demon emperor has dug a trap for us to jump into. The 10 great immortal sects. The supreme divine artifacts of the 10 great immortal sects are here. Why haven't they come out yet? Only a supreme divine artifact and a peerless expert can withstand the ferocity of the demon city. The remaining cultivators of the myriad heavens felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured over their heads. With a shiver, they came to their senses. In the blink of an eye, the demon city that was besieged by the cultivators of the myriad heavens had been stripped of its sheepskin and turned into a ferocious and domineering tiger. This transformation scared even their primordial spirits out of their bodies. Damn it, this is a trap. Without hesitation, the remaining cultivators turned around and tried to escape with all their might. However, the demon city that had bared its fangs would not let them escape so easily. Since you're here, you can all stay here for lightning gathering towers, 10,000 lightning strikes. Sakura coldly looked at the many cultivators who originally intended to take advantage of the situation. How could he let them leave so easily? So he decisively ordered, "Buzz, buzz, buzz." Suddenly, the millions of lightning-gathering towers in the demon city burst forth with dazzling lightning. With a loud bang, they condensed into millions of lightning pillars that reached the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Fist-sized lightning beads shot out from the lightning-gathering towers like a tidal wave. Each bead contained the violent power of lightning. 5 elements lightning, yin-yang lightning, space lightning, instant lightning, earth fiend lightning, 9 heavens lightning, and so on. Almost all types of lightning that had never been seen before shot out from the lightning-gathering towers. They covered the sky and earth as they whizzed toward the cultivators who were trying to escape. Each lightning bead exploded continuously. One could see with their own eyes that large swathes of the void in the area of the explosion collapsed inch by inch. A large number of warships and battle islands were swept in. They trembled violently, and a large number of cracks appeared in the terrifying impact. A large number of cultivators were smashed into clouds of terrifying blood mist on the spot. In the blink of an eye, the entire void had turned into a terrifying domain of lightning. Continuous rumbling sounds rang out. Even the most powerful defensive magic treasures were bombarded into smithereens. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 834. Ferocious. Too ferocious. The eruption of the 1,000-demon city was as if it was going to destroy the heavens and earth. The terrifying divine lightning smashed countless cultivators to death in an instant. All the major islands were destroyed, and the sky above the illusory void island was shrouded in lightning. After being promoted to a supreme divine artifact, the lightning congregating tower and the 1,000-demon city had completely merged into one. Every divine lightning that was condensed had the power to kill an immortal monarch. This was just the ordinary divine lightning. The powerful divine lightning could even shatter an immortal emperor. With this eruption of power, hundreds of thousands and millions of square kilometers were turned into a dead zone. The League of Monster Slayers, which had been full of momentum, was completely destroyed by the lightning. It disintegrated the vast offensive. Good, good, good. What a good demon suppression alliance. However, in front of my 1,000-demon city, it's nothing. All of it will be crushed and turned into the accumulation of my demon race, the foundation of the ancient city. All the fragments of the battle islands and warships will be plundered into the ancient city for me. All the vitality sources will be integrated into my 1,000-demon city and become the accumulation of my ascension to the immortal realm. The battlefield was littered with debris, each of which was made from countless materials, spirit materials, ancient spell formations, and talismans. They contained the magical charm of the Tao of Heaven, as well as vital energy fountains. Of course, the fountains of vital energy came from the Matchless and Paramount Islands. Of course, they couldn't compare to the Demon City, and were of varying quality. There were pools of lightning, pools of frigid ice, pools of raging flame, and other such things. However, these ancient pools contained the heavenly Tao, and there were a lot of laws gathered in them. These were simply great things for the Emperor's Jade archive. There were a total of 3,000 of these sources that weren't completely destroyed. Without thinking, the 1,000-demon city immediately emitted a strong, devouring force. It swept over a radius of 1,000,000 miles. Within this range, all the fragments were swept into the ancient city. Under the chaotic flames, they were smelted into strands of essence and quickly condensed into threads that merged into the ancient city. On every inch of the divine crystal, mysterious Tao runes formed. It made the ancient city more tenacious and stable. The 3,000 sources were all plundered and were devoured and refined by the Emperor's Jade Archive at a terrifying speed. Although most of them were ordinary sources, they couldn't withstand the number of sources. Amongst them, merely the sources of ice numbered over a few tens of types, and they contained the profundities of the Grand Tao of Ice. This devouring was simply a great supplement. One could see that. Inside the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, a large number of talismans of the Great Tao shone with dazzling light. Ha ha! Crazy Emperor, we've really gotten a lot of nourishment this time. 3,000 vital energy fountains. Add them all together, and a magical law is contained within them. And you can imagine how many talismans of the Great Tao can be completed and perfected. Nether was so excited that his dragon whiskers danced in the air. Haha, the ice talisman, fire talisman, water talisman, gold talisman, wind talisman, all of them have been completed. Great nourishment. These sources are simply great nourishment. He shouted with a beaming smile. Haha, ice talisman, fire talisman, water talisman, gold talisman, wind talisman, all of them have been completed. The 5 great Tao talismans had all been repaired, and more than half of the other talismans have been repaired as well. The benefits were too great. Plundering, such things must be done more often. There was also the space talisman, which was now devouring spatial faults at a much faster rate. 40% of it has already been completed. Wild laughter rang out. Countless jailers were constantly imprinting various cultivation techniques into the Jade Archive. Almost at every moment, there was endless heavenly music of the Great Tao reverberating. 5 great Tao talismans had been completed in an instant. Plundering was simply the only way to strengthen oneself. In addition to the Thunder Talisman, Poison Talisman, Wood Talisman, and Emperor Talisman, in the blink of an eye, 9 of the 3,000 talismans of the Great Tao in the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive had been completed. They had completely merged with the Jade Archive. At the same time, in the void, a blue ice lotus, a golden lotus, a light cyan wind lotus, a dark green water lotus, and a crimson fire lotus had completely materialized, and a corresponding small world had been opened inside, connecting with the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. Vast amounts of vital energy were constantly being poured in. This caused the worlds inside to quickly stabilize. In the blink of an eye, the Demon City had completely stabilized the low-grade Supreme level, without any hidden dangers. The divine light emanating from the ancient city became even stronger. Di-Shir-Tian, when the annihilation tide arrives and the deterrence of the sovereign's token dissipates, my father will definitely kill you and imprison your demon soul in the evil abyss. Even if you have a supreme divine artifact, you will be completely destroyed. You will never know how powerful my black fiend great world is. Today, you have a supreme divine artifact, so I will give you a chance. Tens of thousands of thunderbolts immediately disintegrated the offensive of the Demon Suppression Alliance. In front of a supreme divine artifact, the alliance was simply a joke. That power immediately intimidated the evil king, Black Eye, who had been in a frenzy. Although he had looked deranged before, after witnessing the scene of Zhu Wuqing being suppressed, he had no scruples about his reputation and wanted to retreat. The sinless city trembled, and countless heavenly music of evil reverberated inside. Dense black light burst forth, and countless sinful Tao patterns intertwined, condensing the power of the entire ancient city into one place. With a loud rumble, countless chains of evil condensed and lashed out violently at the void above. With a crack, a terrifying crack was torn open. If you want to escape, you'll have to ask for Ai's permission first. Between the heavens and earth, all the hurricanes that exist and do not exist listen to Ai's order and explode, entangling evil. How could Di-Shir-Tian watch him escape? He did not even think about it, as he gave a command that carried endless majesty. Rumble. Suddenly, countless violent hurricanes gushed out from the void. Samadhi celestial wind, 9 heavens astral wind, doomsday storm, extinction hurricane, and all kinds of different colored hurricanes. Under Di Shirtian's order, there was no hesitation as countless hurricanes burst out crazily, crushing the cracks that appeared and stopping the sinless city's attempt to escape. Countless hurricanes instantly engulfed the sinless city. Black Eye, I didn't manage to kill you back then. Today, I'm going to beat you until you have no chance to make a comeback. Do you really think that I don't know that your father, Black Whirlwind, is Black Whirlwind? Do you really think that I don't know? You don't have the guts to do it yourself, and you even asked Freedom King to kill me. Let me tell you, you're completely finished. Let's not talk about you. Even if your father comes personally, let's see if I will be afraid of him. If you want to die, Freedom King won't be able to escape either. Today, I'm going to dig a hole to bury all of you. I'm going to let all the worlds know that we, the demon race, have never retreated even half a step since ancient times, no matter how strong our enemies were. Di Shirtian said coldly. His voice was sonorous and powerful, as if he was representing the countless demon race that had fallen, and even those that were still alive, to let out a shout to the heavens. Just like what he said, since ancient times, the demon race had never retreated even half a step in the face of any strong enemy. The demon race fought in the wild, and its blood was yellow. Kill, kill, kill. In the demon city, hundreds of millions of demon race members listened to those sonorous words. Each and every one of them felt the blood in their body boiling. In their minds, it was as if they could see the heroic deeds of their ancestors with their own eyes. One after another, they opened their mouths and let out fanatical cries. Those cries were filled with firm conviction. Boom! After plundering a large amount of fragments, the demon city's aura became more dignified, and the divine light became more dazzling. Suddenly, there seemed to be countless heavenly sounds echoing in the city. With a fierce shake, it broke through countless spaces. Like a terrifying mountain, it rose from the ground and flew into the sky, crushing the sinless city that was surrounded by countless storms. This move was like a thunderbolt, and it carried the fanatical conviction of hundreds of millions of demon race members. It was simply unstoppable. Bang! Unstoppable. It suddenly pressed down on the sinless city. Rumble. The sinless city was incomparably sturdy, and countless evil auras rose. There was even a red lotus of karmic fire that completely enveloped the entire ancient city. This collision with the red lotus. Countless karmic fire erupted crazily, wrapping around the entire demon city. It wanted to engulf the demon city and completely burn it to ashes. However, the demon city had already been promoted to a supreme artifact. What was a supreme artifact? It was like a peerless expert that jumped out of the heavens and earth and was no longer bound by the heavens and earth. They could enter the chaos alone and form their own heavens and earth. They could completely control the demon city and charge into the chaos. The demon city's foundation was strong, and the ultimate Emperor Jade archive was a unique, innate spiritual treasure. Although most of the 3,000 great Daos inside were incomplete, they directly formed the rules of the heavens and earth in the ancient city. As long as the heavens and earth inside were repaired, the heavens and earth would become stronger and more perfect. The ancient city was not afraid of the red lotus of karmic fire at all. It used the most ferocious and overbearing method to crash into the red lotus of karmic fire. The ultimate Emperor Jade archive operated crazily and directly used the chaos bead to absorb vast amounts of chaos energy from the chaos. It transformed and poured into the ancient city. The absolute power suppressed the red lotus of karmic fire, and countless terrifying cracks appeared on it. Suddenly, the red lotus that seemed to be real was crushed by the power of the supreme artifact. Boom! The sinless city was hit and fell into the depths of the illusory island. The ferocious sinless city was sent flying like a toy. The current 1,000-demon city was like an undefeatable emperor. All living beings in the universe had to submit to it, and those who didn't submit would suffer a thunderous strike. The power was so strong that it made it difficult for those who witnessed it to breathe. Enough! Do you really think you're still invincible? Today, this sovereign will completely seal you and make you a sovereign. The demon race is just a lowly monster. You deserve death for trying to defy the heavens. The murderous intent in Venerate God Seal's eyes intensified when he saw that the 1,000-demon city had become a supreme artifact. His body turned into a ray of light and suddenly stood on the god sealing scroll. His body grew to 10,000 feet tall, like a god that ruled the world. At the same time, the boundless scroll shrouded the 1,000-demon city, and the countless sealing runes within it burst out with unprecedented brilliance. Exalted indifference. The demon race has already become history, so you must learn to forget it. Since you're unwilling to look, then let me help you forget it. The mysterious young man, standing on the Wangqing heavenly vessel, had been watching the development of the battle indifferently, without a trace of emotion. Even when the Jinmu tree and the heartless heavenly vessel were smashed into pieces, he did not have the slightest fluctuation. It was as if he was observing the battle strength of the demon city. At this moment, he seemed to no longer be silent. His mouth was like the heavenly Tao as he spoke. The exalted indifference chakram burst out with divine brilliance. Countless mysterious runes flickered within the divine brilliance. A supreme will of the exalted indifference chakram burst out from the chakram and rapidly spread out in all directions. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. I support the author, and I support the original readers. Chapter 835. Like a godly emperor, Venerable Godphone was connected to the divine diagram. The countless runes inside turned into ancient seal characters. The word seal. Each of these seals flashed with dazzling starlight, as if the diagram was connected to the ancient starry space and the endless power of the stars in the starry world. Each and every one of them was as condensed as a physical entity, outlining the truth of the seal. They quickly imprinted themselves on the demon city and collided with the divine radiance emitted by the ancient city. In an instant, they saw those runes strangely imprinted on the divine light. At the same time, the divine light strangely dimmed, as if it had been sealed by some kind of terrifying seal. 9 heavens and 10 earths. God-slaying, demon-slaying seal. Sakura shouted. In the sky above the demon city, suddenly, lumps of dazzling thunderclouds appeared. They were layered and separated, revealing the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Inside, countless bolts of lightning were shuttling back and forth crazily. God punishing lightning and demon extinguishing lightning intertwined together, protecting the entire ancient city within the divine prohibition. Every bolt of divine lightning carried a biting cold, destructive intent. Countless lightning bolts exploded in front of the divine diagram, bombarding the seal runes. Large amounts of runes were destroyed, but the diagram was strange and continued to crush downward. More and more seals were being emitted from the divine painting. Furthermore, they were becoming more and more powerful. Even the divine lightning that was rushing out from the thunderclouds was being sealed. At this moment, Venerable Godphone was like a godly emperor descending to the world. Damn it, this venerable apotheosis has such a profound understanding of the Tao of seals. He couldn't break Star Emperor's stellar seal steel, so he took a shortcut and fused the power of the stars with the Tao of seals, specializing in the art of seals. I'm afraid that the text of the God-sealing steel is infinitely close to the origin of seals. Once he comprehends it, he will become a peerless expert. Ming's expression changed slightly when he saw the divine diagram covering the sky and crushing down. He found that the divine sealing steel seemed to have broken away from the influence of the stellar demon sealing steel and began to walk a unique path. It was completely refined into a supreme sealing treasure. It was already fundamentally different from the one he saw in the Tong Tian Tower back then. It was close to completion. Since you have declined, you must learn to forget. Forget your emotions and all your troubles. Then, you will be able to step into the eternal kingdom and follow the path of the heavenly axiom. Forget. Forget the ancient glory of the demon race. Forget the ancient pride of the demon race. Forget the hatred of the demon race. Once you forget, you become nothing. Let go of your hatred. Let go of your unyieldingness. And a single thought is eternal. The supreme indifference chisel flew up into the air from the mysterious youth standing on the indifference heavenly vessel, crossing the distance of the void. It appeared above venerable god seals, painting, and began to rotate. Mysterious characters appeared on the diamond chakram. These characters weren't ancient characters or demonic characters. They weren't even characters from any of the other worlds, but they contained the charm of the Grand Tao. These were the divine characters of the Grand Tao. Every single one of them had the mysterious power to communicate with the heavens and earth. Inside it, there was a divine charm and supreme will of the supreme indifference. Strands of golden light continuously poured out from the diamond chakram like spring rain. The divine light covered the sky and the earth. It passed through the divine, painting and spread to the entire demon city. The divine light exuded a strong sense of oblivion. It was as if countless devout believers were praying and exhorting them. They were spreading the Tao of the supreme indifference. That will existed everywhere. Wherever it went, the sound of the supreme indifference heavenly voice seemed to reverberate in the air. Even the divine light from the demon city and the 9 heavens and 10 earths God, slaying demon, annihilating seal, could not stop this will of unruffled, will of unruffled, will of unruffled, will of unruffled, will of unruffled will. Everywhere it went, countless demons only felt their hearts go blank. Countless voices appeared in their minds. It was as if countless demon race ancestors were constantly advising them to let go of the ancient hatred. Now they were enslaved, exploited, and killed for their cause. This was all fate. There was no need to be unwilling. They should follow fate and the heavenly axiom. When a human race rose, the demon race fell. When they forgot, they forgot. When they forgot everything, there would be no pain. There seemed to be an invisible force constantly seeping into the hearts of the demons. While his mind was in a trance, his pride towards the demon clan was faintly fading away and disappearing. It was as if they were going to fall asleep. When they woke up, they would naturally forget all their emotions. They would be completely supreme indifference. Oh no, this is the supreme indifference chakram. It has a terrifying power that can cleanse the mind and make one forget. This is comparable to the supreme indifference water refined from Huang Quan's holy river. However, its power is even more terrifying. This diamond chakram is a top-grade connate spirit treasure. Its power is limitless. If it really makes all the demons in the ancient city forget their emotions, then the demon race will only exist in name. We must not let him succeed. This is breaking the foundation of the demon race. When Ming saw the supreme indifference realm that was constantly invading the entire ancient city, he was so shocked that even his dragon whiskers were about to stand up. His eyes widened. He knew how terrifying it was. Once the mysterious youth had his way, the entire demon race would only exist in name. If they forgot their ancestors and the prideful demon race of the ancient times, could they still be considered demons? They were just pigs and dogs that had been enslaved. You want us to forget our emotions, our hatred, our identity, our pride, and our history? How is that possible? Sakura sat upright on the numinous sky throne. His eyes were filled with a threatening divine light. His gaze was filled with an unwavering will that no one could shake. He looked at the demons in the ancient city who were about to collapse under the power of the supreme indifference chakram. He opened his mouth and said loudly, "Brothers of the demon race, we demons were born in the ancient times. We were born to fight with the savage beasts for a place to live. Countless ancestors shed their blood and threw away their heads. In the end, we drove away the savage beasts and won a place for the descendants of the demon race to live. Everyone, tell me, can we forget this?" His words carried the power of the royal tyrant heart mantra to awaken one's mind. Every single word entered the ears of the demons. It was as if the heavenly voice of the great Tao was directly imprinted in their minds. The heroic spirits of our ancestors want a place for us to live. We can't forget it. The demons were originally in a daze under the power of the supreme indifference chakram and were about to fall asleep. There was a hint of clarity in their closed eyes. It was as if in an instant, the scene of countless demon ancestors fighting with the savage beasts in the ancient times appeared in their minds. Although they died 100 times, they had no regrets. For a moment, they let out a cry that came from their bloodline. They couldn't forget it. This was the origin of the demon race. Even if they died, they couldn't forget it. The cry came from the ancient city in unison. Hundreds of millions of voices gathered at the same time. It was as if thousands of thunderbolts were roaring, resounding throughout the entire ancient city and even outside the city. A kind of blood that came from the bloodline, from the ancient times, seemed to start to burn in their bodies. A kind of will that came from their bones was gathering continuously. It gathered in the city. Even the will of the supreme indifference chakram couldn't suppress it and destroy it. The shouts echoed in the air. In the ears of the surrounding cultivators, they only felt their minds waver and their expressions turned ugly. They could all feel that across time and space, the blood of the demon race in the ancient times. That unyielding fighting spirit. On the Wangqing heavenly ship, the mysterious young man also let out a cry of surprise. However, the Wangqing divine light emitted by the supreme indifference chakram became stronger. He wanted to suppress the faith that was emitted from the bodies of the demons. In the ancient times, the demon race ruled the purple gold mainland, ruled the thousands of worlds, led the tide of heaven and earth, and stood at the peak of heaven and earth. The achievements of our ancestors could be as glorious as the sun and the moon. This is the pride that our ancestors left for our descendants. May I ask if you can forget it? Di Shitian looked coldly at the Wangqing divine light that covered the sky and earth. This was a battle of wills, a collision of beliefs. Why would he be afraid? If they wanted to fight, then let's fight. No one could make him submit again. We are proud of the achievements of our ancestors. We can't forget it. The light in the eyes of the demons became even more concentrated. They seemed to be shouting from the depths of their souls, and their voices rang out in unison again. This was a test of their hearts. Rumble. The beliefs of the billions of demons gathered in their bodies and invisibly intertwined together, shaking the void. The glazed golden light was lifted up by an invisible force. In the ancient times, when the fiend celestial invaded, the ancestors of the demon race resolutely fought and spilled billions of demon blood. Although they died 100 times, it didn't retreat. Even if they died, their souls didn't perish. They want to prevent the thousands of worlds from falling. This unyielding fighting spirit, may I ask if the demon race can forget it? Every word seemed to be lashing at the hearts of the demons. Not only the demons, but all the cultivators who heard it also changed their expressions and became somewhat ugly. The heroic spirits of our ancestors are not far away. How can we forget it? We can't forget it. The pride and arrogance of their bloodline filled every inch of their blood. The billions of demons felt their blood boiling, as if it had been summoned from the ancient times. Their dazed eyes grew brighter and brighter. Can't forget it, can't forget it. These 3 words reverberated in the void. Our ancestors used their flesh and blood to block the invasion of the fiend celestial. Although they died, their heroic spirits didn't leave. The humans betrayed us and turned against us. They took advantage of our weakness to slaughter our ancestors and slaughtered countless demons. This despicable act, this monstrous debt of blood, this unerasable hatred, may I ask if we can forget it? This debt of blood must be repaid with blood. We can't forget it. We can't forget it. The demons' hearts and minds were completely restored to normal under the call of their bloodline. The Wangqing divine light that had invaded their bodies was completely defeated and scattered. In its place was a blazing belief, monstrous hatred, and an unyielding fighting spirit. They all let out a hysterical cry from their souls. It was an accusation against heaven and earth. We demons resisted the fiend celestial, But not only did we fail to obtain the glory we deserved, we suffered endless suffering and humiliation. We were enslaved for tens of millions of years. We were killed for their cores, and the cultivators of the other heavens had to climb over our corpses. May I ask if we can forget this monstrous humiliation? Even the rivers of the four seas can't wash it away. We can't forget it. Flames burned in the eyes of the demons as they let out unyielding roars of rage. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 836. If you have a ticket, please help me. Rumble. This was the unyielding belief of the monster race since ancient times. It was a cry from the bloodline, an accusation to the other worlds. Why? Why did the monster race sacrifice billions of lives for the origin continent? Why did the monster race only receive endless humiliation instead of glory? Why did the human race make us forget? Why do you have to make us forget? Why do you have to make us forget? Why do you have to make us forget? It was as if the spirits of the monster race had crossed over from ancient times. Countless shouts of the monster race that were drowned in the river of time continued to gather. Suddenly, countless spirits of the monster race appeared in the sky above the thousand-demon city. Scenes from ancient times appeared one after another. An unyielding belief that couldn't be erased rushed towards the unruffled divine radiance like a tide. It was a vast tide, the monster race's undying belief. In front of this belief, if God or Buddha stood in their way, they would kill Buddha. Even a peerless expert would have to dodge. The shouts and roars were simply unstoppable. The golden light that filled the sky was suddenly blown away. A terrifying intent bombarded the divine diagram. The divine diagram, which was originally crushing down, was pushed back up by an invisible force. At this moment, not even a top, innate spiritual treasure could resist it. Your shouts are futile. The monster race will eventually be obliterated by the tide of time. The human race will rise, and the monster race is destined to be the stepping stone for the rise of the monster race. Sovereign God Seal's expression was cold. The divine diagram below him was connected to the star space. Vast amounts of star power were exerted on the diagram, causing it to emit a dazzling divine radiance. Countless sealing runes rushed towards the thousand-demon city like a tide, trying to obliterate it. Rumble. Countless sealing runes whistled through the air. Instantly, the 9 heavens 10 earth's god, slaying demon exterminating seal, began to tremble violently. The sealing runes imprinted themselves into it, and the thunderclouds dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. They were constantly being suppressed by the terrifying sealing power. The 10 layers of thunderclouds were sealed one after another. Where are the blood kill guards? Tian raised his head and looked at the divine diagram. There was not the slightest bit of panic on his face. He was still as calm as ever. Boom! Boom! In the ancient city, 100,000 blood kill guard were lined up in a neat battle formation under the leadership of 18 blood kill generals. Countless blood-red lines appeared on their tall, ice-cold bodies. The murderous aura emanating from their bodies was extremely sharp. With just a glance, it was enough to shatter the souls of some cultivators with weak willpower. Your Majesty. Pairs of eyes without a trace of impurity fell on Indra's face. Blood kill squad, destroy this divine diagram for I and kill venerable Feng Shan, Tian said coldly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 100,000 blood-killing guards did not say anything. Instead, they raised their heads, and a bloody wound appeared on their foreheads. A blood red eye quickly opened. In the blood eye, a vast amount of destructive power was gathering and brewing. Kill! 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 Streaks of blood-red divine light, filled with murderous intent, shot out at the same time. Every single streak of divine light was so condensed that they seemed to be solid. They contained a terrifying will that could annihilate everything in the world. They soared into the sky and blasted toward the divine diagram. Boom! Boom, boom. The 100,000 beams of annihilation divine light carried the innate murderous intent of the Bloodkill guards. The combination of the two was so powerful that each beam could penetrate a world. Among them, each of the Bloodkill guards had the battle strength of an ancient sacred beast, while the Bloodkill generals had the battle strength of an ancient sacred beast. They burst out at the same time. Their power was overwhelming. It was almost unstoppable. A large number of seal runes were instantly shattered and blasted onto the divine diagram. Although the huge divine diagram emitted endless starry divine radiance and a strong sealing force to wear down the annihilation divine radiance, the annihilation divine radiance was extremely condensed. Any sealing force that was exerted on the annihilation divine radiance was instantly shattered by the annihilation divine radiance. It blasted onto the divine diagram. "How dare you?" Sage Fengshen roared. The divine diagram violently shook as it was bombarded by the annihilation divine light. In the divine diagram, there seemed to be countless stars twinkling. Countless inscriptions on the God-sealing monument flashed, constantly pressing down, wanting to obliterate the 100,000 beams of divine light. In the diagram, there seemed to be another vast world. It wanted to devour the divine light. Rumble. However, although the divine picture was strong, it was unable to withstand the bombardment of the 100,000 annihilation divine lights. In particular, the attacks of the 18 bloody massacre generals were extremely powerful. In an instant, the divine picture was pierced through. Crack! Countless densely packed cracks appeared on the divine diagram, formed by the heaven crystal God-sealing steel. In the blink of an eye, the entire divine diagram was densely covered. Bang! Under the annihilation divine light, the divine picture immediately shattered. Countless fragments of the divine picture shot out in all directions. Among them, 10 of the thickest beams of divine light blasted straight towards Sage Fengshen. God's seal banner. Sage Fengshen took out an ancient banner that seemed to be made of wood and quickly used it to block in front of him. It violently collided with the annihilation divine light, causing the surrounding void to collapse. Sage Fengshen was sent flying like a rubber ball by the terrifying force. Since you don't want to forget, then you deserve to die, blocking the spread of humanity and the rise of the human race. You, the Demon Emperor, are just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Since you want to rely on the Demon City as the foundation for the rise of the demon race, then I will break your foundation. The mysterious youth standing on the Wangqing heavenly vessel was shocked when he saw that the demon race in the ancient city could erupt with such astonishing faith. He grabbed the supreme, unruffled chakram in his hand. Whoosh! The chakram suddenly burst out with dazzling golden light and smashed toward the northern heaven gate of the demon city. The supreme, unruffled chakram drew a dazzling stream of light in the air and smashed into the northern heaven gate like lightning. Bang! It crashed into the gate of heaven. Instantly, the chisel emitted a dazzling and shocking power. Countless terrifying cracks appeared on the gate of heaven at an unprecedented speed. In an instant, they covered every inch of the gate of heaven. It was like glass, densely packed, as if it would shatter at any moment. Moreover, a strange force burst out from the supreme, unruffled chakram in these cracks and entangled the heaven gate, preventing the cracks from being healed by the immortal stone. Rumble. The entire ancient city was violently smashed back on the spot. Not good. The supreme, unruffled chakram's power is too terrifying. A top-tier innate spiritual treasure isn't something a fake heaven gate can withstand. If it's hit again, the heaven gate will collapse. Dark said in horror. Although the demon city had been promoted to a supreme artifact, it wasn't completely perfected. The heaven gate was a fake, and under the attack of a top-tier innate spiritual treasure, its weakness was immediately exposed. If it was the real heaven gate, it wouldn't have been smashed. It would have been sent flying. I didn't expect the supreme, unruffled chakram to appear here. The know-it-all frowned slightly and narrowed his eyes. A golden toad appeared in his hand, and in the toad's mouth there was a golden coin. The coin was covered with mysterious patterns that intertwined with each other, exuding profound principles. It seemed to have the intention to attack. Whoosh! Right at this moment, a dark green palace lantern suddenly streaked across the sky from afar like a bolt of lightning. Suddenly, it appeared in the sky above the demon city. Wisps of green light with a demonic aura burst out from the palace lantern and shot out in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the entire demon city was covered by the light. Under the illumination of the palace lantern, one could immediately see that the remnant energy within the gate of heaven, which had countless cracks, began to retreat. The power of the immortal stone was unleashed, and the cracks began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. What kind of lantern is this? Why do I feel that this lantern has a very intimate aura? It seems to be connected to me. When the light emitted by this lantern shines on my body, I feel like my cultivation has increased greatly, and my blood is boiling with fighting spirit. My spirit has completely recovered and reached its peak. This lantern contains the aura of our demon clan. Could it be an ancient treasure of our demon clan? Billions of demon clan members raised their eyes to look at the palace lantern that suddenly appeared. They only felt that under the light, their bodies were refreshed, as if they had been reborn. At the same time, there seemed to be an invisible force emerging from their bodies and drilling into the palace lantern. The light emitted by the palace lantern became even more intense and bright. Haha, it's the ancient suppression demon lantern. The life treasure of our demon clan is connected to the fate of the demon clan. It actually appeared at this time. This is a heaven-sent opportunity. With this palace lantern, and our demon city is the place where the fate of the demon clan gathers. With the fate of the billions of demon clan members in the ancient city, even the supreme, unruffled chakram won't be able to do anything to demon city this time. Quick, kill that damn successor of the supreme mystery sect. Ming was overjoyed for a moment and immediately recognized the origin of the palace lantern. This was the life treasure of the demon clan, and it was a top Khanate spirit treasure. The stronger the fate of the demon clan, the stronger the ancient lantern would be. All of a sudden, it protected the entire ancient city. Good, good, good. When Di Shirtian saw the ancient lantern, although he was puzzled by its appearance, how could he waste the great opportunity in front of him? He immediately attacked without hesitation. Demon City, plunder the divine, painting fragments, refine the Tao of stars and the Tao of seals contained in them, and integrate them into the ancient city. Repair my Tao. Blood Jade Gourd. Kill that old bastard Feng Shun for I. Di Shirtian's body was incomparably domineering, and he opened his mouth to issue orders. Boom! With the protection of the ancient suppression demon lantern, the demon city was not afraid of the supreme, unruffled chakram at all. It directly burst out with bright divine light, emitting a vast, devouring force, and swept toward the divine, painting fragments. The billions of fragments of the divine, painting fragments contain the Tao of seals that venerable Feng Shun had cultivated for countless years and the Tao of stars that Emperor Star had cultivated. How could they give up? They were swept into the ancient city on the spot. Clang! At the same time, the bell of heavenly Samsara above his head glowed with the light of reincarnation, and many scrolls appeared on the surface of the ancient bell. In the scrolls, there were 3 small gourds hanging on a gourd vine. One was green, one was black, and the last one was blood jade. They were small and exquisite, and they looked very cute. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 837. Of the 3 gourds, one was the god of wine gourd, one was the calamity gourd, and the last was the demon-slaying gourd. However, Di Shirtian didn't like the names and changed them to the demon-slaying gourd. Each gourd had a shocking ability. On the surface of the demon-slaying gourd, the blood-color patterns that formed naturally gave off a blood-colored glow. Whoosh! The blood-colored gourd emerged from the heavens' reincarnation bell and flew into the air. A blood-colored light shot out from the gourd and stared at Honorable Soul Seal. What is this? Honorable Soul Seal's mind suddenly shook. He felt that when his origin soul was stared at by the blood-colored light, even his origin soul stopped moving. It was as if he was a mouse that had encountered its natural enemy. The mana in his body was strangely motionless. Moreover, his entire body seemed to have been cast on by the body-fixing spell. He felt like he could not move at all. God's sealing banner, protect me! The divine light on the surface of the God's sealing banner, which seemed to be made from mysterious wood, had become abnormally dim after being attacked by the general of blood slaughter. At this moment, under the summoning of the God's sealing banner, it quickly hung above his head and spun around. Strands of mysterious yellow aura fell down and protected him under the God's sealing banner. Treasure, please turn around. Deshertion looked at Honorable Soul Seal with a cold smile and calmly said. As soon as his voice fell, a 3-inch-long blood-colored flying dagger shot out from the demon-slaying gourd. The flying dagger was covered in mysterious patterns. On the dagger stood a thumb-sized girl wearing a blood-colored veil. The girl had a hint of poignant beauty. She was lifelike and lovable. Standing on the dagger, she gently twisted her waist like she was dancing. Suddenly, the dagger appeared in front of Honorable Soul Seal at a speed that was hard to detect with the naked eye and slashed at his neck. Crack! For a moment, the world was silent. In a vast void, only a ray of blood-colored light bloomed. The God-sealing banner seemed to have lost its support and fell from the sky. The mysterious yellow divine light on it was extremely dim, and there was no trace of light at all. Faintly, there were cracks on it, and on Venerable Soul Seal's neck, there was a small cut that was dripping with blood. It formed a terrifying bloody scar. The demon-slaying gourd of the fiend god continent. Venerable God Seal stared at the blood jade, gourd emerging from the bell of reincarnation, and slowly said, Demon King, you killed my avatar. When I reach the peak in the future, I will take your life and destroy your demon city. The demonic beast shall be destroyed, and the human Tao shall rise. With a cracking sound, Venerable Apotheon's head fell from his neck. Even the primordial spirit in his body had been sliced into two, losing all signs of life. Hiss! Countless cultivators couldn't help but gasp. Paragon Apotheon's sealer. A blood-colored flying dagger shot out of a gourd and severed his head. Not even his nascent divinity managed to escape. What gourd is that? That ancient bell is too terrifying. Paragon Apotheon Sealer was an existence that was only a step away from becoming a peerless powerhouse. How could he die here? No, he just said that it was only his avatar. Could it be that his true body isn't here? But it's really terrifying. The Demon King has an endless supply of treasures. Could that gourd be the demonic treasure of the demon god continent? The demon-slaying gourd? What a scam. This is clearly a trap. The Demon Emperor has come prepared. The Demon City was promoted to a supreme artifact, and that palace lantern that suddenly appeared. Oh my God, could that be the life treasure of the demonic beasts, the ancient suppressing demon lantern? The remaining All Heavens cultivators were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Their hearts were like raging waves. Since the beginning, there had been one change after another. They'd thought that the sovereign unruffled chakram would be able to smash the heaven gate, but they hadn't expected that a strange palace lantern would appear and block the attack. Then, the Demon King attacked and killed Paragon Apotheon Sealer. The fragments of the divine diagram, the God-sealing banner, and Paragon Apotheon Sealer's flesh and nascent divinity, let I absorb them all into the demon city. Since you want to destroy the foundation of the demonic beasts, I will use your flesh and treasures to strengthen the foundation of the demonic beasts. Perfect the Tao of the seal for me. Deshertion had killed Paragon Apotheon Sealer with one strike. Even if it was only his avatar, it still made his aura even stronger and more domineering. The cultivators of the All Heavens didn't even dare to look at him directly. Their eyes would be pierced and blinded. Rumble. The demon city rushed forward domineeringly and fearlessly grabbed the ancient suppressing demon lantern. It wantonly absorbed the fragments of the divine diagram, the god-sealing banner, and even the flesh and nascent divinity of Paragon Apotheon Sealer's avatar into the ancient city. This plundering caused the entire ancient city to burn with divine light. Suddenly, all the fragments entered the core of the void. The ultimate Emperor Jade archive burst out with boundless light and absorbed all the fragments. The primal chaos flame burned fiercely. This was a flame condensed from the primal chaos energy the primal chaos bead absorbed from the primal chaos world. It was even more domineering than the sun's true fire. In addition to the mystical power of the ultimate Emperor Jade archive, the fragments of the heavenly Tao contained within the fragments were stripped away bit by bit. They constantly drilled into the Jade archive. Among them, there was even an extraordinary sealing technique, the Divine Seal Scripture, and an inscription on the Divine Seal tablet. It could be said to be the general outline of the Tao of sealing, and it condensed numerous sealing runes that were continuously branded into the Jade archives. Inside the Jade archive, there was a snow-white talisman that was only 1/10 the size. It burst out with dazzling divine light and quickly absorbed all the fragments of laws. The God-sealing treasure mirror and the God-sealing tablet were all absorbed into the talisman and turned into the sound of the heavenly Tao that constantly echoed. At the same time, countless sealing techniques flowed into the talisman. 2/10, 3/10. In the blink of an eye, the talisman obtained the sealing Tao that venerable God Sealing had spent his entire life cultivating. It was simply an unimaginable supplement for the sealing talisman. In addition, the sealing Tao runes contained within the God Sealing tablet, as well as a supreme treasure like the sealing stone, caused the incomplete talisman to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. Almost in the blink of an eye, the sealing talisman was completely repaired. The sealing talisman was complete and perfect. At the same time, in the surrounding void, another lotus flower turned from an illusion to reality. It had obtained the complete laws of the sealing talisman, forming a snow-white lotus flower. Inside the lotus flower, a small sealing world was opened. Countless sealing forces constantly intertwined together. It was very magical. At the same time, the broken pieces were refined by the primal chaos flames. They turned into countless tiny threads and quickly entered the ancient city. They merged into every inch of the divine crystal and formed many Tao patterns that contained the charm of a seal. The ancient city became more and more stable, and at the same time, traces of sealing aura were naturally emitted from the ancient city. Tian felt that with the completion of the sealing talisman, he could freely restrain part of the demon city's supreme pressure. Even without the help of the sky, shrouding mirror, he could still restrain the divine brilliance that naturally leaked out. Moreover, the star talisman had also increased by more than half, reaching 4/10. That's how it should be. Plunder is the fastest way to become stronger. The more we kill, the stronger the demon city will become. That sinless city contains endless evil. Smash it and refine it, and use it to complete the sinless talisman in the Emperor's Jade archive. That black pupil kid will be suppressed in the nether prison. Dark was even more delighted when he saw the Emperor's Jade archive being completed again. He narrowed his dragon eyes and encouraged loudly. Black pupil is just a clown. Watch how I kill the successor of Tai Xian. How dare he use the grand indifference to destroy the foundation of the demon race? He deserves to be killed. Sakura didn't even look at Hei Tong. Instead, he raised his eyes to look at the mysterious youth standing on the unruffled heavenly ship. Compared to Hei Tong, what he hated the most was this youth who didn't have a single trace of expression. This was the true ruthlessness. If he really succeeded, then the demon race would truly only exist in name. Divine light flowed on the surface of the celestial reincarnation clock. The demon-slaying gourd gave off a crystal blood jade radiance. From the gourd, a ray of blood jade radiance shot out and shot towards the mysterious youth. It was as if it could cross the boundary of heaven and earth and stare directly at his primordial spirit. You want to destroy the foundation of the demon race? Then I will destroy your primordial spirit. Rumble. At this moment, a huge crack appeared in the sky above the illusory island. From the crack, a huge green lotus drilled out. The green lotus was hundreds of thousands of feet long. Countless streaks of sword chi flickered on its surface, slicing the void into pieces. On the surface of the green lotus, vivid and lifelike petals formed layer upon layer. As the green lotus spun, they were constantly vanishing. It swallowed the surrounding primordial chi. Countless green lotus sword chi were born. 1,000 green lotus swords, one of the supreme divine artifacts of the 10 great immortal sects. The 1,000 green lotus swords had descended. Green lotus sword chi, cut the void. Slash. In the vast green lotus, there seemed to be countless sword slaves praying in each petal. They were emitting pure sword chi. Countless angry roars gathered together and spread out into the void. It was as if it was the punishment of the heavens. In the boundless green light, countless green petals quickly peeled off from the 1,000 sword green lotus. Under a strange power, they gathered together in a strange trajectory, forming a green lotus battle sword that was hundreds of thousands of feet long. On the battle sword, countless green lotus sword chi intertwined, and the surrounding void collapsed inch by inch. Crack! The terrifying battle sword slashed down at the southern heaven gate of the 1,000 demon city. Bang! The green lotus battle sword slashed through countless voids and slashed at the southern heaven gate. The sharp battle sword almost split the entire demon city in half. The entire boundless void seemed to have lost its splendor under the might of this sword. It was as if there was only that vast green lotus battle sword in the world. Ding! The ancient suppression demon lamp hanging above the demon city shot out millions of feet of light, like a huge green sun. It flew in front of the southern heaven gate and blocked the green lotus battle sword. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 838. The myriad green lotus sword was one of the 10 great supreme divine weapons. Once it was unleashed, the green lotus battle sword could even slice a great 1,000 world in half and shatter it into pieces. There was a terrifying power that could cut through the sky. However, the ancient suppression demonic lamp was the life treasure of the demon clan and was connected to the fate of the demon clan. Now, in the ancient city, hundreds of millions of demon clan members were gathered. The fate was at its peak. With the help of luck, the ancient lamp emitted a flame that looked like a huge sun. It collided with the green lotus battle sword. Bang! With a terrible roar, the ancient suppression demonic lamp and the demon city violently retreated hundreds of thousands of feet, and the green lotus battle sword collapsed inch by inch, turning into hundreds of millions of green lotus sword chi and dissipating into nothingness. Under the protection of the ancient lamp, the demon city was unscathed. It blocked the thunderous attack of the 1,000-sword green lotus. The 1,000-sword green lotus is the supreme artifact of the Sky Sword Valley. As expected, the human clan has been secretly spying on us for a long time, wanting to catch us all in one fell swoop and completely destroy us. However, they never thought that the demon city would be promoted to a supreme artifact. It is no longer a soft persimmon that they can pinch at will. This 1,000 green lotus sword can forget about beating us to the point where we couldn't even fight back like it did in the demon realm. Ming licked his lips, and in his dragon eyes, there were traces of cold light. After 3 days, he had to look at it with new eyes. In the demon realm, the demon city was indeed not comparable to the 1,000-sword green lotus. At that time, it was almost destroyed. Fortunately, with the help of the hidden powerhouses, it was able to escape danger. However, now it was not really afraid of them. The powerhouses of the human clan are finally going to make a move. Tion glanced coldly at the thousand-sword green lotus. Although he was wary of the supreme artifact of the human clan, he was not afraid. He just muttered in his heart, if I had not just promoted the demon city. The gate of heaven is a fake, and the 9 heavens and 10 earths God-slaying demon-annihilating seal is not very useful. Even if it is a supreme artifact, I will fight it. In his heart, he was looking forward to the 4 gates of heaven in the forbidden area. There was also the forbidden red lotus, which was the ancestor of all the restrictions in the world. Once it was fused into the ancient city, it would truly be able to kill anything that stood in its way. In the sky above the illusory island, countless voids that had been trembling violently suddenly stopped. It was as if time had stopped moving in an instant. Eternity is seen in an instant. Heaven and earth may decay, but I am immortal. An eternal kingdom suppresses the heavens. Eternity is immortal, crossing the other shore. Believe in eternity, get rid of worries, abandon love. Without joy or sorrow, we shall share eternity. Right at this moment, an intimidating voice reverberated in the boundless void. It was like the law of the heavenly Tao, the true meaning of eternity. As his voice echoed, billions of rays of divine light poured down like a tide. Then, all kinds of mysterious prayers spread out along with the divine light. In the divine light, one could see the figures of gods, demons, Buddhas, and immortals that seemed illusory and yet real, constantly flying freely. On the faces of these figures, there was a kind of great freedom and transcendent beauty. It was as if there were no worries, only eternal joy and infinite beauty. All the bad things had disappeared. The prayers came from their mouths, making the surrounding atmosphere seem incomparably solemn and dense. Sacredness cannot be blasphemed. In the billions of rays of divine light, an incomparably huge crystal disk that looked like a flying saucer emerged from the void. This disk was as large as a rock, hundreds of thousands of feet in size. As soon as it appeared, it immediately covered half of the sky. Thousands of rays of divine light constantly shot out in all directions from this disk. The eternal kingdom had descended on the illusory island after the thousand-sword green lotus. As soon as this eternal kingdom appeared, a vast pressure spread out continuously, crushing down on the demon city like a tide. An eternal and transcendent will, the true meaning of eternity, invaded the ancient city. Some of the remaining all-heavens cultivators in the ancient city suddenly looked as if they'd been freed from their restraints. No joy, no sorrow, only eternity reigned supreme. The eternal kingdom is the true immortal and perfect kingdom. Faith is eternal and immortal. One's emotions are nothing but fetters. A large number of cultivators revealed expressions of sudden realization. His eyes were blazing as he looked at the eternal kingdom. It was as if he wanted to fly into the kingdom alone and betray the true meaning of eternity. They were forcibly converted by the eternal will. Oh no, stop it quickly. Otherwise, the billions of demons in the ancient city will be forcibly converted by the eternal kingdom. This is King evil. Ming's expression changed drastically. For the first time, the eternal kingdom, which was said to be the most powerful paragon artifact, displayed its boundless divine power. Clang! Tion pointed a finger at the bell of heaven's reincarnation above his head. Immediately, the ancient bell burst forth with waves of sparkling divine light and rapidly grew in size. In the blink of an eye, it grew to thousands of feet in size. Scrolls of paintings continuously appeared on the bell. The ancient bell shook violently. When the hammer struck the bell, an ancient and melodious sound of the bell immediately reverberated clearly. Circles of ripples spread in all directions. The sound of the bell contained the supreme intent of the heavens' reincarnation. This was the sound of reincarnation. When the sound entered the ears of the demons, it was as if they were suddenly enlightened, as if they had just had a dream and suddenly woke up. But at the same time, they felt waves of fear. The might of the demon emperor. Then frenzied shouts followed. Oh no, Tian has gone too far this time. He has even provoked the Eternal Kingdom. Given the current grade of the Demon City, even the Thousand-Sword Green Lotus will have a hard time dealing with it. Against the Eternal Kingdom, it is like throwing an egg against a rock. Back then, even in the demon world, neither the Thousand-Sword Green Lotus nor the Eternal Kingdom had truly displayed the power of a paragon artifact. This time, with the appearance of the Demon City, I'm afraid that the 10 great immortal sects will ignore the ban and destroy the Demon City. If that really happens, I'm afraid things will get out of hand. Seeing the Eternal Kingdom and the Thousand-Sword Green Lotus coming one after another, the know-it-all's expression turned ugly, and he muttered in a low voice. Suddenly, a threatening light flashed across his turbid eyes. There was a faint, intimidating aura on his body. Even his aura seemed to have changed drastically in an instant. However, it was quickly concealed. Demon Lord, I have already received a warning. This time, at the critical moment, I still need you to stop it. The Demon City cannot be lost. The know-it-all looked at the Demon Lord and said, I am a commander. This is my duty. Hearing this, the Demon Lord nodded slightly. There was not much expression on his face. The Thousand-Sword Green Lotus and the Eternal Kingdom. The supreme artifacts of the 10 great immortal sects have finally appeared. I told you that the human race would definitely not watch the demon race rise up and become violent. Given the power of the Eternal Kingdom, it will definitely blast the Demon City into pieces on the spot. The human race has a strong foundation after all. It will not be so easy for the demon race to rise up. The All-Heavens cultivators raised their heads and looked at each other with anticipation. The battle before them was about to break out at any moment. Once the battle started, even the endless void would be pierced through. However, almost no one was optimistic about the Demon City. No matter how strong the ancient city was, it had just been promoted. How could it be comparable to the 10 supreme artifacts? An incomparably oppressive, intense aura filled the void. It spread in all directions and covered the vast void in the blink of an eye. Hiss! Just as the battle was on the verge of breaking out, the eyes of the vast void serpent coiled around the sacred mountain suddenly opened. There was a trace of strange pain in its eyes. Its entire abdomen wriggled violently, as if something terrible was about to break out of its body. It suddenly opened its bloody mouth and spat out a huge blast of energy. Swoosh! A sparkling stream of light shot out from the void serpent's mouth. Boom! At the same time, a vast pressure suddenly spread out in all directions like a tide. It was as if an ancient, ferocious creature had appeared in the void in an instant. In an instant, the pressure was so strong that even the Eternal Kingdom and the Thousand-Sword Green Lotus were suppressed. The surrounding void was collapsing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Amidst the millions of divine lights, a mysterious crystal ice coffin strangely appeared before the All-Heavens cultivators. A crystal ice coffin? Tian's pupils contracted violently in an instant. His expression, which had remained unchanged all this while, was faintly strange. Look what's going on. Why did the void serpent spit out a crystal ice coffin? There's a terrifying pressure in the coffin. Just the pressure alone is suffocating me. I'm a celestial lord. Could this be an incredible and supreme treasure? Anything that enters the void serpent's abdomen will be absorbed and refined. The fact that this crystal ice coffin has survived and is so powerful means that it must be a rare treasure. Even the Eternal Kingdom can't suppress its power. Precious treasure. This is a precious treasure. Almost instantly, countless gazes fell on the crystallized coffin that had suddenly appeared. Countless mysterious runes were imprinted on the surface of the crystallized coffin. Waves of strange divine light were constantly being emitted. They were like tadpoles that were constantly twisting and flowing. It seemed to have a life of its own and was strangely connected to the surrounding heaven and earth. The patterns intertwined and flowed, exuding a dense and dense chi. They constantly condensed into mysterious talismans that appeared on the surface of the ice coffin. They were connected to each other and seemed to form a mysterious sacrificial text or some kind of inconceivable seal. It seemed to carry a vast and soul-stirring pressure. This ice coffin, no, it all suddenly stood up. His turbid old eyes shot out waves of golden light as he stared at the crystallized coffin. His expression faintly revealed a strange excitement. Impossible? The demon monarch was so shocked that he lost his voice. This is the second one. Tion stared at the crystal ice coffin in a daze. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com to read more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 839. This was the second crystallized coffin that Tion had seen. Back in the land of chaos, he had witnessed the terrifying power of the crystal ice coffin with his own eyes. He remembered that the first coffin contained a head with amazing charm. However, that head alone was able to drive the ice coffin through countless disasters in the land of chaos and kill countless fierce beasts. Now that he thought about it, even though Tion had heaven-defying battle prowess, he was still deeply afraid of it. He knew very well that whether it was then or now, if he were to face that crystallized coffin, he would most likely be killed on the spot. Even a single glance from that head was enough to wipe out all living beings. This was the second coffin in front of him. The 9 heavenly coffins have sealed a supreme existence. It seems that this crystal ice coffin also seals a part of that expert's body. This ice coffin actually appeared here. Is it a coincidence, or was there already a ruler in the dark? Who was the one that was sealed? Sakura seriously scanned the crystal ice coffin, not letting go of even the slightest change. On the ice coffin, there was a palace lantern in the shape of a lotus flower, which looked like the ancient demon lantern. The lantern was completely purple, and in the ancient lantern, there was a purple flame. The flame flickered, as if there was a strange and dangerous aura, which made one's divine soul tremble violently. It was as if the soul had an indescribable fear of this lantern. That ancient lantern makes me feel as if I'm being stared at by a poisonous scorpion. It's completely purple. Could it be the most mysterious and terrifying one among the 9 palace lanterns? In a nether prison, Dark shrank his dragon body and hid in the Saint River of Huangquan. Between his eyebrows, there was a look of fear and dread. This scene was extremely rare. The ancient demon lantern, the netherworld ghost lantern, and the blood coffin lantern. This one looks exactly the same as the other 3. It must be one of the 9 palace lanterns. Dark, what kind of lantern is this? Tian's expression was somewhat solemn. He did not know why, but when he saw this lantern, there was a sense of dread in his soul. In the lantern, he smelled an unprecedented aura of danger. Forbidden soul lamp. Dark said one word at a time. It was just 4 words, but it was enough to send chills down one's spine. Look, the lamp on top of the crystal coffin is actually purple. I remember that in the world, there are 9 mysterious life treasures called ancient lamps. Besides, the ancient lamps all look the same. According to the ancient records, one of the ancient lamps is purple and it's called the soul extinguishing lamp. The forbidden soul lamp is extremely strange. Legend has it that it was the life treasure of the soul race, the most strange and mysterious race among the 100 ancient races. Soul race. Amidst the discussions, there were expressions of fear and shock. Especially when he mentioned the soul race, his expression seemed to be some kind of terrifying taboo. It was abnormally fearful, as if it was a taboo existence. Snatching the forbidden soul lamp. There must be a supreme divine ability of the soul race in the soul lamp, the life lamp art. At the sight of the forbidden soul lamp, the experts who had been hiding in the dark could no longer remain calm. He had a strong desire to possess the forbidden soul lamp. Rumble. The ancient cauldron that had hit the demon city suddenly appeared above the crystal coffin. In front of the cauldron, an old man in an 8 trigrams robe held the ancient cauldron in one hand. The lid of the ancient cauldron suddenly opened, and covered the forbidden soul extinguishing lamp. In the cauldron, there was a strong suction force. It was as if the surrounding void was being sucked into the cauldron. Ding! At the same time, a middle-aged man in an emperor's robe stepped out of the void and appeared on the illusory island alone. In his hand, he was holding a yellow treasure box. He stared at the ancient lamp with a strong desire to possess it. A crack appeared on the treasure box. In the treasure box, a yellow divine light shone. It was as if there was a blazing sun inside. In the treasure box, there seemed to be an endless black hole. Exuding a strange suction force, the yellow divine light swept toward the forbidden soul extinguishing lamp. God created all things and blessed all creatures. God is supreme. What God says is the truth and the will of heaven. God says the forbidden soul extinguishing lamp should be in the hands of the angel race. With a strange prayer, an old man in white robes walked out of the void step by step. He held an ancient, snow-white scepter in his hand. The scepter was embedded with a golden gem that was even more resplendent than the sun. His face was devout and holy as he walked out of the void step by step, like the purest of gods. With a wave of the scepter in his hand, countless golden divine lights turned into billions of threads and entangled the forbidden soul lamp. The meaning of the forbidden soul lamp was too mysterious, especially for the legendary life lamp art. Even the experts who hadn't appeared when the demon city was promoted to the supremacy level couldn't help but make a move. The Dragon Phoenix Cauldron is the supreme treasure of the Weapon Cauldron Great World's Weapon Cauldron sect. Could the one holding the cauldron be a supreme elder of the Weapon Cauldron sect? The mysterious yellow treasure box. It is said that this treasure box is a supreme treasure refined from the vast mysterious yellow chi. Wherever the mysterious yellow chi is, nothing can invade it and nothing can touch it. In the ancient times, this was the supreme treasure of the mysterious yellow ancestor. Later on, it disappeared after the ancient times. It is said that it was obtained by the Southern Desolation Emperor of the human race. Could it be the Southern Desolation Emperor? No, the Southern Desolation Emperor is a peerless expert and can't make a move. It should be someone close to him. The angel race also made a move. They claim to be the messengers and servants of the ancient gods. They have always been arrogant and have always been arrogant. I didn't expect that they also couldn't hold back. The cultivators gathered here were all extraordinary. In the blink of an eye, they revealed the identities of the first three who made a move. Whoosh! However, just as the three experts were about to snatch the forbidden soul extinguishing lamp, in the void above the ancient lamp, an arm covered by a strange pitch-black glove silently stretched out. The void tore apart naturally, and the slender fingers stretched out toward the forbidden soul extinguishing lamp as soon as they appeared. There was no trace of smoke or fire, as if it was the most ordinary thing. However, it crossed the boundary of time and space and easily grasped the ancient lamp in its hand. Just like when it appeared, it strangely shrank back. Who is it? The old man holding the ancient cauldron changed his expression and scolded. Leave the forbidden soul extinguishing lamp. The middle-aged man looked at the void with a majestic tone. God said that those who steal supreme treasures will be spurned by God. The white-robed old man looked holy and righteous. He waved the scepter in his hand, and golden divine light suddenly burst out. Each ray of divine light was like the most terrifying sword in the world, piercing countless terrifying holes in the void. Rumble. Under the golden divine light, the void where the arm appeared suddenly collapsed and was annihilated on the spot. Countless terrifying chaotic powers continued to wreak havoc. In the collapsed space, there was a slender figure shrouded in a pitch-black robe with a black cloak on his head. In a strange black-robed man's hand, he was holding the purple forbidden soul extinguishing lamp. Under the cloak, a pair of dark eyes flashed with strange divine light. The violent and chaotic powers in the surroundings strangely calmed down when they approached him. You want the life treasure of my soul clan? Beneath the cloak, that pair of gloomy eyes swept past the three of them, and then he suddenly opened his mouth and spoke in an extremely hoarse voice. It was extremely stiff, and when it entered their ears, it gave them a strange feeling that even their bones were about to go numb. What? Hearing this, the three experts who were originally aggressive and wanted to denounce him changed their expressions at the same time. That's the most mysterious soul clan among the 100 ancient clans, Ming said in a terrified voice. TSK, these three fellows have kicked an iron board, trying to snatch his life treasure in front of his master. He's just courting death. Oomph. The black-robed man only glanced at the three people in front of him. Then, he turned around and strangely disappeared. Oh no! However, the three experts trembled violently, and their faces turned pale. A ball of divine light mysteriously appeared in their bodies. One could clearly see that an ancient lamp that looked exactly like the forbidden soul-extinguishing lamp had appeared in their bodies. The ancient lamp had a purple flame that was constantly emitting light. Moreover, the purple lamp oil could clearly be seen in the lamp. The lamp oil was being consumed at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the three experts saw this, their faces turned ashen. Without thinking, they tore open the void, entered it, and quickly disappeared. These three cultivators are dead meat, Ming gloated. To think that they dare to have designs on the life treasure of the Han clan. They must be tired of living. Why don't they take a look? If the forbidden soul-severing lamp is so easy to obtain, the 10,000-sword green lotus in the country of eternity wouldn't have done anything. Although he was mocking them, one could still hear the deep fear in his heart toward the Han clan. The Soul Clan's life lantern technique. No, it all took a deep breath, a grave look in his eyes. Extinguish the lamp, extinguish the soul. The demon lord's eyes narrowed into slits. The situation seemed to be getting stranger and stranger. The appearance of the crystal coffin forced the fierce battle to a halt. Whether it was the myriad demon city, the myriad sword lotus, or the kingdom of eternity, all eyes were focused on the crystal coffin. Faintly, the air was filled with a thick sense of fear. Even the kingdom of eternity didn't dare act rashly. After the forbidden soul-extinguishing lamp left the ice coffin, the all-heavens cultivators saw the scene inside the coffin immediately. Inside the ice coffin was a sparkling, jade-like arm. It was a left arm. Sparkling jade light flowed continuously in the left arm, and there seemed to be a remnant soul in it. Crack! The lid of the crystal coffin suddenly opened. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 840. Those with tickets, please help lift it up. The lid of the crystal ice coffin flew into the air and opened in an instant. The jade arm in the ice coffin suddenly broke out of the coffin. Without any hesitation, her slender hand made a grabbing motion towards the void serpent that resided on the divine mountain. Hiss! The void serpent, which was hundreds of thousands of feet long, showed fear in its eyes. It opened its mouth and let out a terrifying roar that could tear apart gold and stone. In the face of the jade arm, the serpent trembled violently in fear. It turned around and was about to drill into the void. It did not have the slightest bit of pride as a primordial, ferocious beast. However, when the jade arm grabbed at the void, there seemed to be an irresistible power pouring out from the jade-like hand, completely sealing off the entire world with a single grab. Even time, space, and all Yuan Qi were all sealed. Then, a terrifying scene appeared before the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators. The void serpent, which had swallowed even the sinless city, the heartless heavenly ship, and the ancient overlords without hesitation, rapidly flew toward the jade arm at a speed visible to the naked eye. As it approached the jade arm, the vast serpent's body violently shrank at an unbelievable speed. It shrank rapidly. When it appeared in front of the jade arm, the vast void serpent had strangely shrunk into a small serpent only a few inches long. Crack! Her jade-like hand grabbed the void serpent and clenched her fingers. The sound of bones breaking could be heard, followed by a cry of despair. The void serpent was crushed without any resistance. A thick mist of blood burst out from between her fingers, but in the blink of an eye, a strong suction force was emitted from her jade-like arm. The void serpent's vast flesh and blood essence was devoured by the jade arm on the spot. The jade light on the jade arm became even more crystalline and mystical. Countless tiny meridians could be clearly seen shuttling continuously, distributed throughout every inch of flesh and blood, revealing a perfect charm. A strange pitch-black crystal appeared in her hand. The crystal was formed by countless hexagons. On its surface, one could see countless voids disappearing and countless spaces being born. It was extremely profound. If one looked at it for a few more times, even one's mind would feel like it was being sucked in. Void crystal. Countless cries of surprise rang out at the same time as pairs of blazing eyes stared at the pitch-black crystal. However, the intense desire to possess it was forcefully suppressed. No one dared to make the slightest move. Rumble. Above the illusory void island, the void shook violently and collapsed. Another crystal ice coffin broke through the cracks in the void and arrived. The moment the ice coffin appeared, it emitted an oppressive might that caused the surrounding space to collapse on its own. Countless scenes of calamity appeared. The void collapsed and black holes formed. Chaotic space blade. Inside the ice coffin, a cold head could be seen. Furthermore, not only was there a head inside, there was also a right arm inside the ice coffin. Left arm, return. A cold voice came from the newly appeared ice coffin. As soon as the voice came out, the entire endless void could not help but stop moving. Even the meteorites that were breaking through the void strangely stopped, as if they were listening to the instructions of some supreme existence. Rumble. The crystal ice coffin that originally contained the left arm suddenly collided with the sky coffin. The two identical ice coffins collided in an instant. However, the strange thing was that the moment the two ice coffins touched each other, they miraculously fused together like two droplets of water. They fused together into a new heavenly crystal coffin. The patterns on the surface of the crystal coffin grew denser and denser, as if they had a life of their own. The strange Taoist rhymes became clearer and clearer, and seemed to carry with them an ancient aura. Swish! The left arm that held the void crystal transformed into a beam of light that shot into the crystal coffin. Demon folk. The head in the heavenly coffin opened its eyes and glanced over at Demon City. When it saw Di Shirtion, it paused for a moment, as if trying to recall something. Whoosh! A pitch-black stream of light shot out from the heavenly coffin, breaking through the void and directly entering the Demon City. The heavenly crystal coffin trembled slightly. Instantly, the surrounding space was destroyed inch by inch. The heavenly crystal coffin drilled into the crack and disappeared in the blink of an eye. From the moment the jade arm crushed the void serpent to the moment the heavenly coffin appeared in the Bedlam lands, and then the two coffins fused together. All of this happened in the space of a few breaths of time. It was so fast that the All Heavens cultivators didn't even have time to react before the crystal coffin shot through the air. Good heavens! What was sealed inside that crystal coffin? It was so terrifying. That void serpent was crushed so easily by a severed arm. That's even more terrifying than some of the most powerful experts in the world. What a terrifying aura. Just one arm is enough to make me feel breathless. How terrifying. One head, two arms. Heavens, could it be that this existence was actually divided into 6 parts by someone and sealed in each of them? Just a single arm is already as powerful as some of the most powerful experts in the world. How terrifying would it be if all of the sealed bodies fused together? What a scam. I've never heard of anyone being severed and sealed in the ancient times. Just who is this person? Countless cultivators were in an uproar. All sorts of discussions resounded in the void. The originally oppressive atmosphere immediately dissipated slightly. When the heavenly coffin left, I saw a beam of black light enter Demon City. That black light seems to be a void crystal. Could it be that she's related to the demon folk? Could it be that she's an ancient demon folk? A sharp-eyed cultivator cried out. They all looked at Demon City with unfriendly gazes. The void crystal is the essence of the void serpent. It's said to be a supreme treasure in the world. It's said that if it fuses with the ancient city or the battle island, it'll create countless dimensions in the ancient city. Moreover, they'll be extremely stable. Even a supreme divine artifact will be greatly strengthened. Buzz. Demon City trembled violently. The void crystal appeared above the Imperial Jade archive. Countless fragments of spatial laws poured into the archive like a tide. The spatial talismans, which have been growing slowly, were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, the well of demons and gods in the ancient city burst forth with rainbow-colored light. Inside, countless spatial fragments were constantly emerging. A large number of spaces were born at an unbelievable speed, merging into every inch of the ancient city. Hundreds and thousands of spaces of various sizes were born in almost every breath of time. As a result, the Demon City structure became extremely stable and powerful. Ha! The existence in the crystal heavenly coffin seems to be close to us demon folk. It actually fused such a precious void crystal into Demon City. This is an opportunity. With the void crystal, the spatial talismans, which may not be completed even after thousands of years, will definitely be completed in a short time. Dark laughed wildly in excitement. Space and time had always been the foundation of heaven and earth. They were the most difficult talismans to complete. Now that there was such a good opportunity, how could he not laugh? The demon folk want to defy the heavens. You've just become a supreme. Today, I'll smash Demon City into pieces and completely destroy the foundation of the demon folk. I'll make the demon folk lose all hope. Rumble. A cold laugh came from the thousand-sword green lotus. The green lotus trembled violently and spun continuously. As the vast green lotus spun, the surrounding void was obliterated on the spot like a huge grindstone. Vast amounts of heaven and earth essence chi were plundered into the green lotus like a tide. Countless lotus petals fell from the green lotus and danced in the sky. They gathered together to form green lotuses that were 100 feet in size. The green lotuses were solid. As they spun, they cut through the void. Countless violent sword chi was brewing inside. Strands of terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and the earth spread out. Numerous green lotuses appeared one after another in an endless stream, whistling as they condensed together like a tidal wave. In the blink of an eye, the sky above Void Illusory Island was densely covered with countless green lotuses. Green lotus destroys the world. A cold shout came from the 10,000-sword green lotus. Suddenly, the green lotuses filled the sky and rushed toward Demon City like a tide. The aura emitted by each green lotus was so strong that even ancient giants would be smashed into pieces on the spot. If these tens of thousands of green lotuses attacked together, it would not be an exaggeration to say that it would destroy heaven and earth. The purpose of this attack was to completely destroy the Thousand Demon City, to destroy the foundation of the demon folk. The supreme artifact finally showed its murderous side. The humans have indeed made up their minds to kill. Demon Lord, we can't wait any longer. We must stop them immediately. Know-it-all narrowed his eyes, and there seemed to be a terrifying flash of light. No matter what, the foundation of the demon race could not be lost. Suddenly, just as the Demon Lord was about to stand up and attack, a burst of laughter filled with the majesty of an emperor rushed into the sky like a wave. The Demon Lord couldn't help but stop his movements. Boom! Tion let out a burst of sonorous and powerful laughter. His voice was filled with endless pressure, coldness, and blood. All of a sudden, he stood up from his throne. This stand-up was like the first ray of light before dawn. It was also like a sleeping giant that had suddenly awakened. It was like a long snake that had suddenly transformed into a vast divine dragon. Almost in an instant, it seemed that all the light and glory in the world had gathered on his body. Good, good, very good. Since I dared to brazenly set up a trap on Void Illusory Island, how could I not expect the appearance of the 10 supreme artifacts of the human race? If I didn't have a backup plan, I wouldn't have gone against you. Today, I will let all the worlds know that the 100 races have returned, and the demon race is the leader. D. Shurtian's voice was like thunder. His body was overflowing with vast divine might and confidence. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 841. From the beginning, D. Shurtian had been constantly calculating. This plan was almost an open one. There was only one purpose, and that was to announce the return of the demon clan to the universe. Naturally, he would not have thought of this. In the universe, there were many rising forces that did not want the demon clan to return. It could be said that there were many existences. Luring them out was for one purpose, and killing them was the best goal to show the power of the demon clan to the universe. Of course, how could he leave out the human clan who had a blood feud with the demon clan? He had long expected that the 10 great immortal sects of the human clan would never sit back and watch the rise of the demon clan. They would definitely use a sure kill move against the 1,000 demon city at the critical moment, and the most likely reason for this move would be the 10 supreme grade divine artifacts. The human clan had calculated well. They knew that even if the demon city was promoted to the supreme artifact level, it must have just stepped into it. The city was not stable and could not be compared with the artifacts that the 10 great immortal sects had been refining for countless years. At that time, the strong would bully the weak and crush the demon city in one fell swoop. However, since D. Shurtian had guessed it, how could he not have a backup plan? How could he still be so confident now and not have the slightest intention of escaping when he saw the 1,000-sword green lotus and the eternal kingdom? No, wait, this D-brat seems to have a backup plan. Let's see what kind of trump card he is hiding. The know-it-all reached out and grabbed the demon lord, looking outside with a strange light in his eyes. In his impression, D. Shurtian had never done anything without confidence. Since he dared to say so, he must have a killer's sword in his hands that could really turn the situation around. The 1,000-sword green lotus is a supreme artifact, not the half-baked demon city. If there is any accident, this ancient city and hundreds of millions of demon clan will be destroyed. The demon lord frowned slightly. Look down, the know-it-all said in a deep voice. Husband, Katomi's 2 jade-like hands subconsciously clenched together. Because of too much force, her fingers faintly turned white. 2 eyes, unblinking, looked at the figure who looked down at the sky. Tian Can, Huang Quan, pour all of your power into my body without reservation. Lend your power to I. As you command. 100,000 blood kill guards, listen up. Inject all the energy in your body into I. D. Shurtian opened his mouth and issued an order. We obey your majesty's orders. When Tian Can, Huang Quan, and the 100,000 blood-killing guards gathered in the ancient city, and the 18 blood-killing generals heard the imperial edict, a cold and ruthless expression involuntarily flashed across their faces. Between his eyebrows, the vertical mark flickered, and an inexplicable connection appeared between them. It was as if, in an instant, heavenly silkworm Huang Quan and the 100,000 bloody-killing guards had completely removed all barriers and become one with D. Shurtian. Vast energy flowed from the blood-killing guards' bodies into D. Shurtian's body through a mysterious connection. On the spot, this enormous and pure energy swiftly circulated within his meridians. Without the slightest bit of difficulty, it transformed into waves of Emperor true force and gushed into the grade 11 Black Lotus within the Demon Palace. Immediately, The great 11 black lotus began to frantically revolve at an unimaginable speed. The Huangji true force in the originally empty black lotus expanded like never before. In the blink of an eye, the black lotus was filled with the viscous Huangji true force. In an instant, it broke through all restraints and transformed into a 12th grade black lotus with a bang. That was not all. The energy that poured in from outside was like a tide, endless and unending, wave after wave. The speed of the black lotus's rotation broke through the limit again and again. Suddenly, the black lotus transformed into a 13th grade black lotus. Rumble. The void outside D. Shirtian's body was constantly disappearing on its own. The vast pressure seemed to be rising crazily without any limit. Although his figure did not grow, in the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators, he was like a towering mountain, constantly climbing up. They were like ants at the foot of the mountain. When they looked up, they could not see the end of it. A feeling of insignificance quickly grew in the bottom of their hearts. He pointed at the endless void. I want to rival a sovereign. Rumble. As soon as his voice fell, hundreds of millions of lightning bolts appeared out of nowhere in the endless void. They violently collided with each other, erupting with a terrifying roar of thunder. It was dark and oppressive, as if doomsday had arrived. The power of the lightning bolts made D. Shirtian's aura even more powerful than before. A sovereign! A sovereign! I want to rival a sovereign. His words echoed in the void. The meaning behind them was enough to make the all-heavens cultivators feel like their guts were about to burst. His voice carried with it a terrifying aura that seemed to command the all-heavens. What was a sovereign? He was the pinnacle of existence in the world, and even in the primal chaos realm. He was a supreme existence that could truly rule over all things in the world. He was immortal and indestructible. The power of 100,000 bloodbath guards gathered in his body. That powerful force made D. Shirtian feel like he could control the cycle of the sun and moon and the operation of all things in the world. With a thought, he could cause the collapse of all worlds. With a glance, he could kill an ancient powerhouse. When he looked up, he could see a vast river in the void. Countless fates intertwined in the river. Scram! D. Shirtian coldly swept his gaze over the countless green lotuses rolling toward him. He didn't even raise his hand as he spat out a single word. Rumble! Scram! 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 This voice reverberated through the entire void. Terrifying gusts of wind swept up from the ground. In an instant, the green lotuses filled with destructive sword chi were swept back toward the myriad green lotus like they were feathers. They slammed into the lotus. Billions of terrifying green lotus sword chi rained down on the green lotus of 10,000 swords, slicing through the surrounding space and destroying it. The entire lotus was blasted back repeatedly. The myriad green lotus trembled violently. Impossible! A cry of disbelief came from within the green lotus. Moonf! A cold snort came from Sakra's nose. Along with the cold snort, a stream of air spurted out from his nose. In an instant, it became incomparably tyrannical and terrifying. Like a tornado, the pitch-black hurricane directly rushed towards the myriad sword azure lotus. Rumble! Under the snort, the myriad green lotus emitted countless green lotus sword chi, trying to break out of the hurricane. Countless lotus petals were destroyed, but the pitch-black hurricane swept the green lotus and blew it into the distance. In the wind, the green lotus was like a broken kite. It spun and rolled, colliding with meteorites. In the blink of an eye, it was blown away without a trace. It didn't even have the strength to resist and was blown away by a nasal sound. Eternal Kingdom? I'll make you eternal. D. Shirtian stretched out a finger and poked at the Eternal Kingdom that was suspended in mid-air. His finger suddenly became abnormally huge. When it broke through the void, it didn't cause any abnormalities in the void below it. It was as if it didn't have a trace of power. It appeared in front of the 9 eternal divine lights outside the Eternal Kingdom. Boom, boom, boom. Before the finger, The seemingly everlasting divine lights did not even have the slightest bit of resistance. They were pierced through on the spot. Furthermore, the divine lights were shattered one after the other. His finger slammed into the kingdom of eternity, piercing through it from the top to the bottom. When it pierced through the eternal kingdom, countless spaces in the eternal kingdom instantly collapsed. Countless living beings in the eternal kingdom were instantly turned into a bloody mist. The entire country of eternity collapsed violently under this terrifying force. A finger pierced through the endless void. It seemed that there was no way to resist. Hiss! This scene was like the end of the world in the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators. They were all dumbfounded, and the void was filled with terrifying gasps. This is a demon emperor, a supreme divine artifact. That's a supreme divine artifact. A divine artifact that can even contend against a peerless expert. Am I blind? The myriad sword azure lotus was actually blown away by a breath of air from the demon emperor's nose. Even the eternal kingdom was pierced through on the spot by a finger. Damn it! Damn it! When did the demon emperor have such shocking battle strength? Did he really have the heaven-defying battle strength of a ruler when he said that he was comparable to one? My goodness, this is the demon emperor's true trump card. I remember that the demon emperor had displayed his peerless combat strength in the Million Treasures Crimson Tide. I didn't expect him to have such a terrifying increase in strength here. Could it be some kind of unparalleled secret technique? Ruler, comparable to a ruler. With the demon emperor, who can stop the rise of the demon race? With just a wave of his hand, two supreme divine weapons were defeated on the spot. The demon emperor has such heaven-defying battle strength. Could it be that he can destroy the 10 supreme divine weapons? Fierce. This could no longer be described as fierce. In front of the eternal kingdom, even an unparalleled expert would be secretly frightened and wouldn't dare to have any thoughts of competing. However, such supreme divine weapons were pierced through the endless void by Di Shirtian's finger. Countless living beings were stabbed to death. At this moment, Di Shirtian was truly the supreme ruler of the heavens and the cycle of reincarnation, the supreme ruler of all things. For a moment, the heavens and earth fell silent as countless pairs of respectful eyes fell on Di Shirtian, who dared to defy the emperor's might. What a demon emperor! The know-it-all narrowed his eyes and cried out. He actually hid such a shocking trump card. To be able to raise his cultivation to such an earth-shattering level in an instant. Even in the ancient times, only the emperor of the underworld could do this. Could he have obtained the emperor of the underworld's inheritance and cultivated the 100 generations slave seal? With this attack, the demon race can successfully return to the purple gold continent and intimidate the other realms. However, I have to do my duty, so I have to give the order. Before the annihilation tide, no one who surpasses the ancient powerhouses is allowed to make a move. The other realms won't be able to withstand it. The demon lord quietly waited for Di Shirtian to send the 10,000 green sword lotus and the eternal kingdom hundreds of millions of miles away. After a moment of silence, he spoke. A light flashed in his hand, and a pitch-black square token suddenly appeared. Tomorrow is a new week. If you have recommendations, please help me push it up. Also, if you are reading DT on other websites, please return to Qidian to submit a recommendation. To be continued, if you want to know the future, please go to www.qidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author and support the original reading. Chapter 842. It's a new week. If you have a recommendation vote, please help me throw in a few votes and push it up. There were countless mysterious runes on this token, and it had two sides. On the front side, there was a token formed from the divine text of the Great Tao, and on the back side, there was a pitch-black demon character. At first glance, this token looked like an ordinary iron token. However, if one looked at it more closely, they would find that it had a profound Tao rhyme to it. When one looked at it again and again, one could vaguely sense the supreme Great Tao. Whoosh! This medallion was none other than the legendary Sovereign's medallion. Moreover, it represented the demon lord of the three sovereigns. The sovereign medallion turned into a streak of light and flew out of the demon lord's hand. In the blink of an eye, it appeared above the illusory island. The simple medallion spun in the air. Look, there's a medallion. A sharp-eyed cultivator immediately spotted the medallion. Where did this medallion come from? Now is the time when the demon emperor is invincible. Could it be that it's provoking the demon emperor? After the medallion appeared, it suddenly emitted a dazzling black divine light that wasn't blinding to the eyes. A vast pressure suddenly erupted from the medallion. It wasn't domineering, nor was it as strong as it appeared on the surface. But wherever it went, all the cultivators in the heavens, even the most ancient powerhouses, couldn't help but tremble in awe and reverence from the depths of their souls. It was as if they'd suddenly seen their ancestors. They couldn't help but bow respectfully in the direction of the medallion. The origin continent has given birth to countless worlds. The development of all living beings in the heavens cannot be stopped. Peerless experts are not allowed to act unless absolutely necessary. Sovereign artifacts are comparable to peerless experts. Unless absolutely necessary, the power of the divine artifact itself is not allowed. Before the tide of annihilation, the prohibition is eternal. Anyone who isn't a sovereign can be imprisoned by the sovereign medallion. Those who become sovereigns in the myriad demon city are subject to the prohibition. Unless absolutely necessary, they're not allowed to use combat strength beyond the peak of the peerless sovereign level. Those who violate this will be punished. A voice filled with boundless majesty, like the great Tao, was clearly spoken from the sovereign medallion. In the blink of an eye, it quickly covered every inch of the void. It penetrated deep into the souls of every living being. It was deeply imprinted in her mind, and she would never forget it again. Under the sovereign's order, he was as insignificant as an ant. The ruler's order, that's the legendary ruler's order. Under the ruler's order, no peerless expert is allowed to attack as they please. If they do, they will be punished by the ruler's order. Rumor has it that 2 peerless experts were imprisoned by the sovereign's order. Beneath the sovereign lord, any expert must obey. Now, even the demon emperor could forget about showing off his might. His 1,000 demon cities' power will be restricted, just like the 10 supreme divine artifacts. Looks like this battle is about to end. Once the sovereign seal is out, who would dare to make a move? Countless cultivators raised their heads and looked at the pitch-black ruler's token as if they were looking at a mountain. Although the token was only a few inches long, it had a charm that made people unable to resist. Ha! A burst of wild laughter burst out. The evil king, Haitong, was sitting on the Avicii throne. He laughed arrogantly and looked at Sakura fearlessly. He shouted, "Sakura, the ruler's token has appeared. Your demon city can forget about releasing the power of a supreme divine weapon. Let's see how you're going to kill me now. Do you dare to attack me? Let me tell you, I'm about to head to the Avicii major world to inherit the Avicii demonic path. When I master the demonic art, it will be the day of your death." He was sure that Di Shirtian would be restricted by the ruler's order and would not be able to attack, so he shouted even more wildly. He was extremely provocative. He looked as if he was the most powerful being in the world. All of a sudden, he was no longer afraid. Indra raised his eyes to look at the sovereign's token that was hanging above his head. From this token, he could feel an extremely terrifying and dangerous aura. He faintly sensed that if this token were to smash down, it could possibly cause countless terrifying cracks to appear on the supreme divine artifact, the demon city. It contained a mighty power that could defy heaven and earth. If it was a peerless expert, they would not be able to contend against it. Moreover, there seemed to be another mysterious world inside the ruler's token. There seemed to be many terrifying existences imprisoned inside. Originally, when the ruler's token appeared, Tian was also considering whether he should take advantage of the situation and use the power of the ruler's token to end the battle. However, when he heard He Tong's disgusted voice, he couldn't help but slightly raise his eyebrows. Without any hesitation, his right hand grabbed at the sinless city that was hundreds of thousands of feet away. A gigantic palm appeared in the sky above Sinless City. It blotted out the sky and covered the entire city as it rushed towards the ancient city. No, how dare you attack me? Are you not afraid of the ruler's token's punishment? Are you going to be imprisoned forever? Where is the ruler's token? This monster has violated the rules. Black Pupil's face that was originally laughing wildly suddenly turned red as if he was constipated. He looked at the huge palm that covered the sky and the sun. In an instant, he felt as if he was a mortal facing a terrifying mountain falling down on him. A deep sense of powerlessness gave birth to endless fear in his heart. The demon monarch stood on the amethyst bamboo boat and glanced at Black Pupil. He suddenly turned around and grabbed a jar of spirit wine, gulping it down in one go. He turned around and said, "This monarch is drunk. I didn't hear you." When Qin Buchuan saw this, he almost fell to the ground. It turned out that the demon monarch was also a strange person. I am now comparable to a ruler. The ruler's token can't be used on me for the time being. You dare to clamor with me? I will crush you first. The huge palm landed on the sinless city and squeezed fiercely. His finger could pierce through the eternal kingdom, and his sneeze could blow away the myriad-sword green lotus. With this squeeze, the sinless city, which was only at the peak of the supreme level, almost exploded on the spot. Black Pupil was squeezed into a bloody mist. Sinless city, boundless evil, merge I into the myriad demon city and complete the grand Tao. Grab, grab, grab. Tian grabbed all the fragments in his hand and merged them into the myriad demon city. The sinless city could be said to be the capital of evil. It was filled with endless evil. In the Black Fiend great world, it was the source of evil. The origin energy source inside was a blood pool of evil. These are all supreme treasures. However, Tian was not stingy and sent all of them into the Imperial Jade Archive. The evil talisman in the Jade Archive quickly absorbed the evil intent and law fragments, constantly mending the talisman. The supreme level existence was really a great supplement. In the blink of an eye, the evil talisman in the Jade Archive was quickly completed. Countless terrifying evil chains appeared in the talisman. A large number of evil Tao patterns were strangely branded in the Myriad Demon City. In addition, the entire Sinless City was merged into the ancient city, causing it to become even stronger. There were faint signs of advancing to the peak of the initial stage of the supreme level. Not good. The demon monarch is going crazy. He actually ignored the prohibition of the ruler's token. Quickly run. No one is his match now. When the All Heavens cultivators saw this scene, they were so shocked that their faces changed completely. A gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. Freedom King's expression changed. He waved the feather fan in his hand and turned around, wanting to break through the void and escape. The demon monarch is indeed unparalleled. He will definitely occupy a high position when the 3 rolls and 1 chart reopens. Fate King, child of Fate Tai Xian, also changed his expression. Even the circulation of fate was a little shaky. Damn it, this is too big. Retreat. Great Freedom Demon Venerable was the most agile and was the first to escape. Freedom King, Great Freedom Demon Venerable, come back to me. Tian stretched out his hand and grabbed at the 2 of them in the air. The terrifying power sealed the void on the spot. Rumble. At this moment, his combat strength and divine ability had simply reached a level that could shock the heavens and the earth and make ghosts and gods weep. He grabbed at the air, and even the void was torn and shackled as it was pulled back. However, just as they were about to fly to his side, 2 pitch-black demonic gates suddenly descended from the void with a bang. It shattered the void. Boundless demon Qi burst out, and the gate was extremely deep. It rippled with a strange devouring power and sucked Freedom King and Great Freedom Demon Venerable into it. Ancient Demon Gate, courting death. Tion flicked his finger, and the two ancient demon gates were immediately hit by boundless attacks. At a speed visible to the naked eye, cracks that looked like a spiderweb started to form. Suddenly, they shattered into millions of tiny fragments. However, those fragments strangely turned into demonic chi and disappeared in an instant. That was the projection of the ancient demon gate. The ancient demon gate has indeed entered the origin source world and is hiding in the myriad worlds. 7 nights, demon venerable, we will meet again. Tian's deep gaze suddenly looked at a hidden void. After a long while, he retracted his gaze. Ding! At this moment, the ruler's token that was hanging in midair let out a crisp sound. On the token, countless mysterious Tao runes started to move as though they were alive. A formless pressure descended from the sky and landed on Tian's head. Rumble! The void above his head was destroyed inch by inch. That vast pressure fell on his mind like a mountain. At this moment, Tian felt as though there were millions of mountains on his body. It was abnormally heavy. Even the undying body on his body was trembling violently. Countless muscles squirmed. His divine soul was trembling. It was as though if he made any movement, he would immediately be met with a terrifying calamity. The ruler's token seemed to be brewing a terrifying aura of misfortune. Facing that aura of misfortune, even the undying body showed signs of wariness and fear. Tian took a deep breath, looked up at the ruler's token, and said slowly, "As long as you don't provoke I won't do anything today." When the ruler's token heard this, it turned into a stream of light and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, it silently appeared in the demon lord's hand. Know-it-all looked at the demon lord strangely and said with a smile, "Demon lord, have you sobered up?" The demon lord sat up straight and carefully put away the ruler's token. He glanced at it coldly and said, "I just woke up." To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com to read more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 843. As expected, I didn't misjudge you. You can hold your liquor better than me. The know-it-all grinned. He paused and looked up at the void. On the illusory void island, the demon city stood out, exuding a vast divine might that suppressed the surroundings. Countless cultivators in the surrounding heavens were terrified and did not dare to make the slightest move. He said, "The demon emperor's move this time has deterred the heavens. It seems that no one will be blind enough to attack the demon city again. This battle is about to come to an end. However, presumably, after today, the demon king of the demon clan will be remembered in all the heavens. They will remember the demon city that shocked all directions. Little D has achieved his goal. If the battle in front of them was spread out, with the shocking news of the 10,000 fiend city breaking through countless islands and warships, and the shocking news of the 10,000 fiend city becoming a supreme divine weapon, the restless desires of countless factions will be quelled temporarily. In particular, Tian's terrifying battle strength that easily destroyed 2 supreme divine artifacts would definitely shock some peerless experts. The 1,000-sword green lotus and the country of eternity will suffer this time. Little D didn't lose himself under the temporary great power. The know-it-all nodded with relief. Ling Long, Celestial Island. The Demon King suddenly said, Ling Long Celestial Island is the most important remaining branch of the ancient demon clan. Originally, I wanted to save Little D and return to the demon clan when he couldn't hold on anymore, even if it was exposed. Now it seems that I should continue to lurk outside. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. The know-it-all looked to the east. The Ling Long Celestial Island suddenly shook, and countless auspicious clouds surrounded it kept retreating. It had no intention of meeting the demon city. Let's leave too. I didn't expect the demon god continent to have already reached the heavens. The Know-It all shook his head and seemed to sigh with emotion. In the sky above the demon city, Tion sat on the throne in a dignified manner, naturally exuding an endless amount of pressure. Lunatic D, you can only use this ability 3 times in your life. If you use it more than 3 times, even your soul will collapse. You already used it once in the Godfall Abyss, so this is the 2nd time. With the help of the Bloodkill guards, you have the battle prowess of Sovereign. Although the time is short, with your battle prowess, you may be able to destroy the myriad sword Lotus and the Kingdom of Eternity. Why did you stop at the end? Dark roared at Indra in his mind, full of doubts. 3 chances, it only had 3 chances in its life, and it was unwilling to waste one of them. How could I let them go so easily? Although I only blew a breath of air and stretched out a finger, sending them out of the boundless void might not necessarily mean returning to the purple gold continent. They must be very happy now. Tion smiled meaningfully. His eyes seemed to be able to see through the void and see the mysterious, forbidden areas. Destroy the Kingdom of Eternity and the myriad sword Lotus? How could Tion not have thought of this? However, if he really wanted to kill the Kingdom of Eternity and the myriad sword Lotus, not to mention the fact that the Kingdom of Eternity was so easy to destroy as a veteran supreme artifact, how could it not have a killing move? Especially the Kingdom of Eternity, which had been promoted to the peak's supreme grade. If the Yuan Chi source within self-destructed, the power would be so strong that even the illusory island would be blown to pieces on the spot. Moreover, this would cause the entire human race to unite against a common enemy. With so many experts, even the Sovereign's order would not be able to restrain them. If they fought, the demon city would probably be smashed into pieces given its incomplete state. More importantly, although it was comparable to a sovereign, this power did not belong to him. Every time it was consumed, it would be consumed and could not be recovered. With his current demonic body, he could only maintain this battle strength for 2 to 4 hours at most. When the time was up, all the power that did not belong to him would dissipate. At that time, if he did not have the battle strength comparable to a sovereign, how could he face the entire human race? Although the purpose this time was to let out a cry to the entire universe, announcing the return of the demon race, and using a little means to intimidate the universe. As long as the means were not too ruthless, it would make the universe wary and not dare to act rashly in the short term. This involved a certain degree of control. If it went too far, it would cause a strong backlash from the universe. If it was too weak, it would make the universe think that the demon race was easy to bully. This was the problem of degree. Just now, this was the real reason why Sakura had wasted the only 3 chances in his life and resolutely used the Becoming God in wedding clothes to break the 2 supreme artifacts in one fell swoop, but didn't destroy them with his own hands. The demon race needed time. He was buying time for the demon race. As long as there was time, with the land of exile as a backing, the rise of the demon race was not a delusion. He needed time. He needed time to go to the Tong Tian Tower to find the Tian Peng's secret mirror and the demon summoning banner. He needed time to go to the 9 great forbidden grounds and the Heaven Gate forbidden grounds to find the 4 gates of heaven. He needed time to enter the forbidden grounds to find the forbidden red lotus. As long as he could get a breather, what was a mere chance? Hee. I knew that Lunatic D was definitely not a kind person. Ming had followed him for so many years and had a deep understanding of him. When he heard his words, he immediately faintly sensed the hidden meaning behind them and could not help but laugh a few times. All demons, listen up. Lift the city seal order and open the heaven gate. The dragon race, the star race, the Li race, and other friendly races that have not blocked the attacks of the demon race before can enter the city for a meeting. The Jade Lake flat peaches have matured. I will hold a flat peach banquet in a year's time at the Jade Lake. All races can come. Tion looked around the void and said calmly. Although his voice was not loud, it was full of pressure and had a strange penetrating power that was transmitted to the universe. Flat peach banquet. Years ago, he had obtained the sapling of the flat peach tree in the fallen god abyss and planted it in the flat peach garden. Under the careful care of Baisusu, with the help of the living soil of 9 heavens, the flat peach tree grew at an incredible speed. With the help of the energy absorbed from the money tree and the treasure bowl, this flat peach tree not only blossomed and bore fruit in a short period of time. Moreover, after the vital chi in the ancient city transformed into innate vital chi, the number of flat peaches on the tree grew at an incredible speed. Now all of them had matured. Every single one of them was beautiful and alluring. The first time it bore fruit, there were 3,000 flat peaches on the tree. Flat peach banquet? Good, good, good. The dragon race will definitely attend the banquet in a year's time. A burst of laughter came from the Crystal Palace. In the blink of an eye, it broke through the sky and left. How can we not attend the Demon King's invitation? The star race will attend the flat peach banquet in a year's time. The 9 stars aligned. 9 stars were shrouded in dazzling starlight. Just like when they appeared, they disappeared mysteriously. The 9 stars aligned had the power to travel through time and space. The Sky Incense Valley will definitely attend the banquet. In the void, a clear and melodious voice came from the picture scroll with countless beautiful women. This picture scroll had previously involved a large number of cultivators attacking the Demon City. Exine, or why don't you go in and meet the Demon King? Inside the purple bamboo boat, the know-it-all and the Demon King had already left. Chin Buchuan and Katomi stood together. They looked at Katomi's figure calmly looking at the Demon City and sighed slightly. No need. Katomi was silent for a while and said slowly, I am now in charge of the Green Jade Zither. I have to take responsibility for suppressing demons. This time I have been out for too long. If I delay any longer, I am afraid that the seal of the crippled blood demon Venerable will become unstable. Moreover, I believe that Shurtian already knows that I have been here. This is enough. There seemed to be a trace of struggle in her eyes. 100 years. She must guard the seal for 100 years. The power of the seal came from the Green Jade Zither. She could not leave the seal for too long. Once there was a problem with the seal, the first to bear the brunt would be the Qin clan. Then it would be the entire purple gold continent. The crippled blood demon Venerable was infamous. In the ancient times, even peerless experts could not destroy him. They could only seal him. The number of peerless experts that died in his hands could not be counted with 2 hands. Gone. She did not dare to see him. She was afraid. Afraid that the moment she stood in front of Di Shurtian, she would not have the courage to leave. Let's go. Katomi closed her eyes and said, Sai, it has been hard on you. 1 year later, third uncle will take charge and bring you to the Jade Lake banquet. Even if I have to throw away my old face, I will settle your relationship with Di. The Demon Empress has a master. However, with your status, how can you not be the demon concubine? Chin Buchuan's elegant face carried a trace of determination. Katomi, the moment the purple bamboo boat left, Di Shurtian's gaze fell on it. It was abnormally deep with a trace of indescribable emotions. After a long time, he murmured, Madman Di, the Qin clan's girl is infatuated with you and is loyal to you. With your current status, even if you marry her, what's the problem? You should know that all experts have many wives and concubines. Don't let her down. Moreover, she has the Qin clan behind her. If you marry her, you will have the support of the entire Qin clan. This is such a good thing. Why are you hesitating? Ming shook his head and reminded. He looked as if he could not bear to see it. I have my own plans. Di Shurtian shook his head and muttered. How could he not have feelings for Katomi? However, he had always been focused on increasing his strength. He had spent countless efforts for the rise of the demon clan. He could not divert his attention to other things. Rumble. The demon city shone with dazzling divine light. In the core of the void, the ultimate Emperor Jade archive spun at a constant speed, emitting a strong suction force. It continued to absorb the countless spatial faults in the illusory island. A large amount of space was directly plundered and integrated into the ancient city. Every inch of the ancient city contained different spatial barriers. A total of 129,600 spatial barriers were created. They were distributed throughout the ancient city. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com and read more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 844. And in the ancient city, once 129,600 spaces were born, no matter how many spatial faults were extracted from the illusory island, it was impossible to increase the number of spaces by even one. This was the limit of the number of spaces that could be born in 1 yuan. However, the spatial faults that they had plundered from the illusory void island were also constantly being integrated into the 129,600 spaces. These spaces were called eternal sand spaces. It meant that there were as many spaces as the sands of the Ganges. Each of these spaces was a newly born space. There were differences in each space. Some were big and some were small. Because of the emphasis on the pneuma, there were also differences. Some were heavy on death and dead spirits. Some were heavy on life, and some were heavy on water. The pneuma of water was abundant, and it was suitable for the growth of aquatic creatures. Some were filled with fire vitality, which gave birth to volcanoes, suitable for the reproduction of fire elemental creatures, and so on. However, due to the birth of these eternal sand spaces, no life was born in them. Even the spaces were quite primitive, and there was no possibility of life being born in them. However, with the Emperor's Jade Archive, the 3,000 great Daos gave birth to all kinds of different kinds of qi. Moreover, it was Xiantian qi. The chaos bead was connected to the chaos world. Once the vast chaos qi entered the Emperor's Jade Archive, it was broken down into 3,000 different kinds of qi and poured into the new worlds. Immediately, the barren space was filled with vital energy. Moreover, the innate vitality quickly nourished the various eternal sand spaces, making the soil fertile and green grass grow. Mountains and lakes appeared. The spatial fragments plundered from the illusory island of nothingness continued to merge with the eternal sand spaces, causing each eternal sand space to grow and expand. Some of the plundered spatial fragments contained living creatures, such as forests and plants. They were also integrated, bringing vitality to the barren spaces. Many birds and beasts were also released into the various eternal sand spaces, giving them ample space to grow and reproduce. The talismans of the Great Path of Fire formed projections in the various eternal sand spaces, condensing into fiery red little suns. The vast demon city hung above the illusory island, constantly plundering the various spaces. At the same time, the Ultimate Emperor's Jade Archive was constantly refining and absorbing the spatial laws contained in the void crystals. However, the absorption speed was unusually slow. However, the space talismans were still slowly growing and filling up. They had already reached 60%. Haha, Lunatic D, you've really struck it rich this time. He had actually used battle to nurture battle, replenishing so many of the great Dao talismans in the Huangji Jade Archive. There were a total of 10 of them. 10 great Dao talismans had reached perfection. This was a breakthrough. I'm afraid such a good thing won't happen again in the future. Ming seemed to be very excited. In the Huangji Jade Archive, there were now a total of 10 complete great Dao talismans. They were the Poison Talisman, the Emperor Talisman, the Metal Talisman, the Wood Talisman, the Water Talisman, the Fire Talisman, the Ice Talisman, the Wind Talisman, the Sin Talisman, and the Thunder Talisman. Moreover, once the Spatial Talisman finished absorbing the Void Crystal, it would be perfected. I want to enter the Linglong Treasure Pagoda and assimilate the 9 Heavens Breath soil into the Myriad Demon City. This is the number 1 divine land under the heavens. It will definitely be able to complete the Earth Talisman recorded in the Jade Archive. I also want to make a trip to the Bedlam lands. There are countless calamities there. I should be able to complete the Calamity Talisman by absorbing the calamities there. But for now, I need to go into secluded cultivation. Tion didn't lose himself in the boundless power that had rivaled that of a sovereign lord. Although it was powerful, it was impossible to fully control. Being too immersed in it would only do more harm than good. However, this battle had given him many insights, and he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to absorb them and turn them into his own power. Swish! Sakura, who was sitting on the numinous sky throne, suddenly looked up and saw that the ancient suppressing demon lamp that was originally hanging above the demon city suddenly turned into a stream of light and quickly escaped, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The ancient suppressing demonic lamp flew away. Tian's pupils constricted. Why do I feel like the lamp's aura is very close to mine? It's like the aura of someone close to me. Could it be that the lamp's owner is related to me by blood? Could it be? A thought flashed through his mind, and he found it hard to believe. My beloved subjects, although we've shaken the world this time, the gate of heaven has been unsealed, and we can't afford to fail in guarding it. I will go into secluded cultivation for now. Mengshi, who, and the others will take care of everything in the city. If there's anything you can't decide, you can look for the Demon Empress. Tian had some guesses as to who the lamp's owner was, but he wasn't too suspicious about the lamp's departure. He believed that if his guess was correct, there had to be a reason. Farewell, Your Majesty. Tian turned and entered the Linglong Treasure Pagoda to enter secluded cultivation. At the same time, news of what had happened in the illusory void island spread in all directions as the All Heavens cultivators left. Due to the unsealing of the ancient city, the cultivators who were originally trapped in the ancient city sent out countless messages, all kinds of image recording talismans, flying swords, and other means to various places. For a time, all kinds of news spread to the myriad worlds at an unbelievable speed. The Demon Emperor isn't dead. The Tiger Soul Saber on the illusory island was nothing more than a trap. The Demon City has been upgraded to a Paragon God item, and it's terrifying enough to destroy several supreme heavenly boats and battle islands. The third crown prince of the ancient emperor dynasty, Zhu Qingbin, was captured and locked in the prison. Unfettered Sage was killed on the spot, and the demon emperor crushed Black Eye, the only son of the wretched Black Patriarch, into a bloody mist. It's terrifying. The Kingdom of Eternity and the myriad sword Azure Lotus were both thrown out of the void by the Demon Emperor. It said that the Kingdom of Eternity was thrown into the forbidden land of the 9 great forbidden lands. Trapped within the boundless divine restrictions, the 10,000 sword Green Lotus was blown into the Heaven Gate Forbidden Land and lost within the Forbidden Land. The Demon Emperor is really ruthless. A year later, the Demon Emperor will hold the Immortality Peach Banquet at the Fairy Lake in the Demon City. It's said that the legendary Immortality Peach Tree is in the Demon Emperor's hands. Eating one of the Immortality Peaches from the Immortality Peach Tree is enough for a mortal to become an immortal emperor in an instant. Moreover, there are no hidden dangers. Even if an expert eats it, they can cleanse the impurities in their body and refine their magic power. For cultivators below the level of ancient overlords, eating one is enough to raise their cultivation by a small level. It's simply a supreme treasure. It's said that the Demon Emperor has the sacred reincarnation spirit tree. During the banquet, the Divine Chef clan will personally cook it. It's simply a supreme enjoyment. If you can eat a mouthful, you can comprehend your cultivation level and the Grand Tao. The Demon City has been upgraded to a Paragon God item, and the vitality in the ancient city has transformed into innate vitality. Moreover, it's abnormally abundant. Cultivating in there for a day is equivalent to cultivating outside for 10 days to half a month. It's really a treasure land for cultivation. Almost in a short period of time, all sorts of rumors were spreading. In particular, the news of the Feast of Peaches was quickly spread. Almost all the cultivators were talking about it. The Feast of Peaches was the legendary innate spirit root. Moreover, it was the fruit of the original body, so the peaches that were born from it were even more astonishing. With the addition of the sacred reincarnation spirit tree, The Feast of Peaches, which had not yet begun, became known by everyone in the heavens. Countless cultivators were secretly drooling. Moreover, this feast was undoubtedly in action to display the strength of the demon race to the heavens and make allies. It was foreseeable that this feast would be incomparably lively. The heavenly gate of the demon city opened. When the cultivators in the heavens heard about the scene in the ancient city and the news of the Feast of Peaches, a large number of cultivators rushed into the demon city from all directions. Immediately, the development of the city accelerated. Various shops and guests came in an endless stream. Countless resources and materials poured into the city. Evidently, the 1,000-demon city had become exceptionally prosperous. Rumble. In the Black Fiend Great World, the entire sky was covered by countless pitch-black, fiendish thunderbolts. Terrifying lightning shuttled through the clouds in a frenzy. In the deepest part of the sky, a pitch-black palace floated in mid-air. In the palace, a middle-aged man with a face full of cold, killing intent was wearing a black, fiendish robe. A pitch-black, fiendish cloud condensed above his head and did not dissipate. On the cloud, a pitch-black millstone was spinning. With every revolution, it ground the space under it into fine powder inch by inch. It was filled with a terrifying, fiendish power of great destruction. The veins on the millstone intertwined and exuded an earth-shattering, fiendish aura. With just a glance, one's spirit would be suppressed and dispersed. Even if one's cultivation was profound, they would still be attacked by the fiendish aura and go completely berserk. One revolution after another, it was as if the world was about to be destroyed. The thunderclouds outside seemed to be the embodiment of the middle-aged man's mood. Tonga, you've actually died. You actually died at the hands of that brat demon emperor. A cold glint shot out from the middle-aged man's eyes as he said coldly, "Brat demon emperor, if I don't kill you, how can I face my dead child? Damn it, if not for the ruler's token, I would definitely tear you to pieces. I would extract your spirit, whip you day and night, and inflict endless torture on your body." His cold words sent a chill down one's spine. This middle-aged man was the legendary master of the Black Fiend Great World, Black Fiend Patriarch Black Whirlwind. Jade Pool Grand Meeting, Feast of Immortality Peaches? If you want to hold a banquet, I'll let you have an exciting one. It was as if he had said this through gritted teeth. When the time comes, I'll make you cry with a lot of rhythm. The Heavenly Realm. The Heavenly Realm was the most vast great world in the myriad of worlds and was ranked first. Not only was it rich in spiritual energy, it also had countless resources. It could be said to be an important place for the human race. It was unknown how many immortals lived in it. Of course, there was also a large number of mortals. Cities were erected everywhere. Each city could hold millions or even tens of millions of living beings. There were countless such cities in the heavenly realm. And in the center of the heavenly realm, countless cities surrounded and protected a sacred city in the clouds. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.